across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, who's he?
That's our new station, Voice Bubba.
I don't like it. Who is it?
Since the cutbacks, we got... No, it's great. It's like younger, isn't it? He was too old and, you know, he was charging too much.
Right, OK, I'm back from Benidorm, my Tuesday stag do. I'll be honest with you, I stayed in a five-star hotel. First night I went out on the lash. Second day I couldn't leave the hotel and I just sat by the pool. So I didn't quite make it to stag do.
But you lived the life of illegal asylum seeker, so you can...
I had a great time.
Yeah.
I had a lovely time.
Yeah.
And by the way, Benidorm is not a dump. You know, like on the
I've
TV
heard it's
show.
got a bit better, yeah.
It's meant to be... Why, have you been before?
No, but it always had a reputation, but they've got a bit better, haven't they? They've sort of clamped down the police out there against tourists. They hate tourists. They love the migrants.
The police tried to clamp down on me when I flew a drone at them. But,
yeah, they do. You're always doing that.
I was flying the drone over the middle of the, you know that road that goes on the beachfront? I don't know what the road's called.
Oh, you took it to Benidorm, yeah?
I did take the drone. Yeah, I was flying it. And I bumped into a lady called Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Said, I recognise that voice anyway. She didn't sound like that. She didn't sound like that at all. But, yeah, I got recognised a few times. That was quite
Fantastic.
nice. And as usual, because we're not like One Direction, people are quite nice to us, aren't they? They sort of go, hello.
Yeah.
Go, oh, I'm awfully sorry to bother you.
I sometimes can see they don't like, you know, and they don't say anything then normally.
Oh, is that right?
From the once, yeah.
Do you get tutted at?
No, I just said something, but I dealt with it.
Dreadful, dreadful. OK, right. We are going to now do something completely different. There's a new play on about the legendary composer Puccini towards the end of his life. And the play is called... Well, we like to say what the play's called. If you are offended by bad language, then the play is called That Bastard Puccini.
What?
And James Invan is here, who's the playwright. James, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm shocked by your use of language. What kind
That's
of show
your
is
fault,
this?
that is. Look what you made us do.
It's a family channel.
Why make a play about Puccini?
Well, it's not just about Puccini.
Who was Puccini, first of all? Tell us a little bit.
Well, I'm fascinated by times in any art form. This happens to be opera. You know, I just saw the film F1 and... it can be in sports, it can be in any realm where you've got loads of people basically competing to be the top of the heap. And what you had in the 1890s in Milan, in Italy, was the great composer of the day, Giuseppe Verdi, was getting towards the end. He was about to retire and everyone knew it. Yeah. And you had all of these composers who were clustered around Milan. I mean, it was incredibly incestuous. One was a flatmate with another was the teacher of another. It's almost like you could imagine, you know, when you go around New York, and your waiter is a would-be Broadway actor. So I like to think in this time you go to a cafe and your waiter would say, oh, here's my new music score. I just wrote this opera this morning. Maybe have a look at it. Maybe you're in the biz. So it's like that. And they were all of these composers, all of whom were very good, were competing to be the new Verdi. And at the time the play is set, Puccini, who's the one who became the great champion, wasn't by any means confirmed. He was one of the front runners, but there was also another guy called Leoncavallo, who was pretty much his best friend and a rival composer. And according to history, and it seems like this is true, Puccini basically stole the idea from Leoncavallo for the opera that made him, La Bohème. So they both ended up composing La Bohème. They had this furious argument in the cafe. It was a massive scandal around Italy and Europe, and both of them were in a race to compose La Bohème.
But that's like White House down and Olympus has fallen. You always end up like that in Hollywood.
Most inventions, like they, you know, in France, they've got someone else that invented the TV. You know, they say Alexander Graham Bell didn't invent the phone; it was someone. Anyway, we've got a little clip about the play, so let's have a look at one of your actors explaining it.
That Bastard Puccini is about Leoncavallo and Puccini and how they both had the idea for writing La Bohème and whether one of them stole it from the other.
It's a wonderful piece of writing, hilarious, chaotic.
That's just the direction.
These two enormous creative giants sort of battling out against each other, which sounds like it might be tearing strips off each other. And they do, but it's very funny.
It's about the idea that there is nothing you will not do to produce the work of art you want to produce?
I mean, one of the reasons people should definitely come and see it is because they're going to hear some incredible singing, live singing, and hear beautiful music, some of the most beautiful music ever written. In fact,
Yeah.
Puccini's.
And
No, Puccini's.
Leon Cavallo.
No, Puccini's.
Leon Cavallo.
Puccini.
Wow, so it's sort of, is it an opera or an operetta? And it's very highbrow, and obviously people like me would go and see it, but is there a mass audience for it?
Yeah, I mean, we're selling out. It's not highbrow, actually.
Maybe I won't go then.
Sorry. But it doesn't matter whether it's opera or it's sport. It's basically about, you've got these three actors playing many characters. They start, the girls play guys.
Was that to save money?
It does save a lot of cash.
Yeah, I'm just a skinflint, what can I say? But it really gets across the craziness of Milan at this time. And it's really funny. And it could be a story about anything creative. It could almost be sport, but definitely it could be about, back then, opera was like Marvel movies are now.
Yeah, people used to fake it.
Well, it was of the people then. It's now seen as highbrow, but opera was for the working people, wasn't it, back then?
It was always of the people, and it was the most expensive thing, it was the most spectacular thing, and it went all the way around the world. So intellectual copyright and stopping people from pinching your ideas was a big, big deal back then. So it's very funny, it's very exciting, and it's also, whenever you try to create something which is great, you have to give up something.
Did you nick it off someone? Is there someone you nicked it? That'd be a good twist in it, isn't it?
Yeah, that would have been conceptual art. That would have been great.
But is it like an opera or a musical, or is it a play?
No, it's a play.
It's a play with songs in it,
Exactly, yeah. It's a comedy play, it's comedy drama, and every so often they break into songs. So you get a sense of the songs, you jump into this world, but it's also about what will they give up to be great, or not give up and not be great.
How'd you go? I'm just really interested in this. How'd you go from starting that you wanting to have a play to ending up with it in a theatre? What happens? Is it like a company you go to, or do you have to raise the money yourself, or you've sole trader? What happens from day one?
Well, day one's the easiest. Day one with me usually starts when I'm doing the washing up. I hope my wife's listening to this. I do the washing up, and that's when I have ideas. And then I go to the computer and I write, and you just can't be scared of the blank page. And this one, immediately, I knew what the title had to be. That's where it all started. Because what would someone say in that position? That bastard! And that was the first line of the play. And once you write that, the next few lines are pretty obvious. But then comes the hard work. Once you've written it, it takes an average of 7 years.
What, the editing down and making it, tightening it up?
No, that's...
The raising of the funds and the backers.
The finding of a producer, the finding of a theatre. It's so competitive. We had, the Park Theatre, where this is on in Finsbury Park until last performance on the 9th of August, is very in demand. And we were
How many seat a theatre is that? That's quite
200.
That's beautiful. Good, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice and intimate, but enough you can get everyone laughing together. But it's and Ian McKellen had something to do with helping start it. It's really kind of a trendy theatre.
Oh, yeah.
And we were up against about 6 other shows, all of them funded, all of them had producers for that slot. And thankfully, the artistic director really liked this one because he's got a good sense of humour and he's a great judge of plays.
So literally, even if you come in and you say, right, I've got the money. Well, maybe, you've got the money to put down the deposit for the theatre for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is. And then they go, yeah, we got 5 other plays that have also got the money. And we think your one is either A, the best, or B, not good enough. And that's you. You're just done. How many plays don't get made that have got all the scripts written and everything?
Hundreds. There's a thing called the... I think it's the New Play Network. I was on it for a while, I forget. And that's where loads of playwrights put their plays, most of which never get produced, and there are thousands, and it's heartbreaking for people.
Have you had others produced before, or have you had plays on TV? What have you done before this that we might not know about?
I was a journalist. I was actually a theatre critic, and I jumped the fence. I was a theatre critic.
Because critics always think they can be, and you've actually proved that you can. So do you look down on the critics now, then?
No, I get on my knees and I go like this. No,
they're your mates, aren't they now?
Some of them are, but I never thought I could do it. I always thought I couldn't do it, and then one day, I can't explain why, I was just able to write. I was a journalist for years for Time magazine, for CNN. I was the editor of Gramophone magazine. I wrote books. I've written TV scripts, but I never thought I could write dialogue. And one day, 2 a.m, I started writing a play.
But you did TV scripts. That's dialogue. What TV
well,
did
yes,
you do?
but I've done some films for IMAX cinemas,
Oh,
which
right.
are kind of docu-films with Renee Fleming and Bryn Terfel.
I'll tell you what, talking of writers, I couldn't believe it. Before Russell T Davies wrote Queer as Folk and Doctor Who, he previously wrote Chucklevision. I mean, can you believe that? With Barry and Paul Chuckle. I mean, what's in it other than to me, to you, to you, to me, to me, to you? What's it?
Well, didn't Salman Rushdie write? Was an advertiser person, didn't he? Write Beans Means Hines before he did the Satanic Verses.
Right. I interviewed
He had a fart
Russell...
for that.
I interviewed Russell T Davies years ago when he was about to start the Doctor Who's, and he had just done a really good Shakespeare adaptation, which did really well, which just goes to show that these old stories like Labo Aim that we think are elitist, they can still make us laugh and cry, and they can still.
But do you not think
and the
that's
stories
the
behind
secret
them
of a
as
good
well.
I mean,
one,
we
isn't it?
get look. I mean, I'm with you there, brother. I'll tell you why. Because we've got friends and colleagues in this building, very dearly loved friends and colleagues in this building, who think because we produce a product for the masses, automatically everyone who works at Talk is stupid. Now, the reality is that we're as well educated as they are. It's just that we go to the effort of producing a product that ordinary people can interact with. If you've got a PhD and you listen to one of our political interviews, you'll get something out of it. But equally, if you're a street sweeper who's never really engaged in politics, you'd understand it as well.
Well, like they say, a Sun journalist could write for the Times, but a Times journalist couldn't write for the Sun.
I think that's probably right.
Listen, I had my start. I was spotted at school, if you want the story, by David English, who was the great editor of the Daily Mail group. And I was mentored by him and by Jack Tinker, who was the legendary theatre critic on the Mail. And I learned from them and from being around the Mail group for years, it takes so much intelligence and so much skill to be able to communicate effectively with anyone. The Sun is a brilliant product, and I mean, I don't read it myself, but it's a brilliantly put together product, as is the Mail, as is the Telegraph, as is the Guardian, as is what you do.
I don't know about the Guardian, but you know.
Well,
if you like racism, the Guardian's good, isn't it?
It's got nice.
No, I mean-
I like the fonts.
I mean, as a product and knowing your audience and being able to talk to them.
It's not very viable.
And Classic FM, when it started, got a lot of flack and a lot of snobbery.
Yeah.
And I presented programs on Classic FM, and I tell you, they are so attuned to what their audience need and what their audience want, and
It's a
also
snobbery,
sometimes to
isn't it?
guiding them.
But in that case, let's go full circle then and just say, is there an attempt to keep ordinary people out of theatre? Because I mean, is it not a dying thing to go to London to go and take in a West End show in the way
Well,
that
that's because people are
used
worried about being stabbed, isn't it? It's not to do with the quality
Yeah, that's right.
of the
Once
place.
Sadiq Khan goes.
Yeah.
Listen, these days, I mean, if you say that's the head of any theatre, they'll laugh because they're desperate for audience. The problem is, somewhere like the Park is very accessible. It's in its community. It's really active in its community, and the tickets are affordable. And it'll put on plays. I mean, you know, any theatre will put on good plays, but this is a play with the title "That Bastard Puccini." It's hardly elitist, and the characters speak like you and I are speaking now, with a bit more swearing because they're not on TV. The big problem in the West End actually is the ticket prices. And
It's like a flight, the cost of a flight, like 180 quid.
Yeah, it's
It
not
never
that the shows
used to
are
be that
elitist.
20, 30 years ago. It just suddenly they took the mick. And now they haven't got the big stars like they used to have a lot of the time. Like, you know, Michael Crawford, Frank Spencer in the Phantom of the Opera.
That's a big problem. And in fact, talking about Michael Crawford, I wrote the biography of Don Black, the great lyricist.
Oh, yeah.
He did a show early in his career called Billy with Michael Crawford, which was a big hit with John Barry, the James Bond composer. Big music.
Amazing it is. Yeah.
And when Michael left, Roy Castle took over, but he wasn't a star like Michael Crawford, and the show collapsed.
He was talented
By
though.
the
He
way-
could play everything, couldn't he? And tap dance at the same time.
When you write,
Frank Spencer
you know,
can do that.
a play or a film or a TV show, you know, as an example, if I watch Keeping Up Appearances, Hyacinth Bouquet, Patricia Routledge was brilliant at physical comedy. Does it say in the script, at this point she will fall over a bush or something like that? Or is it that prescriptive within it? Or do you just write down the words that they're going to say to each other? The dialogue?
Well, it depends. It depends, obviously, on the writer. In my script, there's a lot of slapstick. There's a lot of stuff that's funny. There's quite a lot that I've written, and I write almost musically. I write quite rhythmically. I'm very particular about where full stops are. Like there's one bit where a character says lower your voice, but I put a full stop after lower, it's that character, and a full stop after yours. So it's lower, your voice. So you have to say it in a certain way. But we've got a brilliant director, and he's come up with some things I never would have imagined. There's one bit where out of I don't want to spoil it, but just out of things that are on stage, suddenly you've got a gondola and you're in Venice. It's absolutely genius, and that's something I didn't write.
Did you put a cornetto? Did you get because you could put that in the next development?
Well, he does sing the cornetto song. He does burst into "O Sole Mio."
So how did you come up? You'd never done it. You're washing up the dishes, and then what made you come up? Were you listening to Classic FM or something?
No, I'll tell you what it was. I had written a play before, which was done in New York, actually, a few years ago.
Oh!
What was that about?
It was about great violin.
It was called That Bastard Dickens. There's a theme developing.
Another Carry-On film.
Yeah, basically, what he does is James is like the expert in just slagging off a major person.
So what was it? What was the first thing?
that Nightmare Churchill was popular in Munich.
Well, actually, I have written another play about the making of Tom and Jerry, and there's a famous film producer comes and flat with that. No, but this first one was about...
Wasn't it Fred Quimby?
It was Fred Quimby.
Yeah,
well done. I'm really impressed.
Well, it always was on the count, wasn't it? Fred Quimby.
That's right. And that's how I got interested. It's about the relationship between him and Joe Barbera. But my first play was about the great violinist Yasha Heifetz and when he went to Israel. And it's very, very different to this. It's very serious. It's quite political and very kind of weighty. And it was very, I mean, I love it, but it was very... These are very personal subjects to me, so it was very angsty for me. And this one is almost pure escapism. But there are some moments where you realise that to create something that's entertaining and funny and escapisming, if that's a word, and romantic, you really have to give something up, and it doesn't come easy. And sometimes you won't like the person you become if you have to give everything up.
You've got to be in control, haven't you? But give a little, like you did to the director and everything, and...
It's just amazing the way you can take it from a piece of paper, figuratively or literally a piece of paper, and turn it into something that people can kind of understand. Because I suppose it's exactly the same. Like Fawlty Towers, Sybil Fawlty apparently came in. Whoever played her, I'm not big on actors and actresses. Yeah, she came in. She played it completely differently to what they're expecting. It was supposed to be the downtrodden housewife, but actually she just completely ignored it.
She made it a big role, didn't she?
Yes, dear, yes, and all this. So it was supposed to be somebody who was just sucking up to him, whereas actually it was done completely differently. I'll tell you the other person who was like that. Wasn't Gareth from The Office supposed to be quite a tough, burly military man? And when, what's his name, who's that little blonde fella?
The little weasel, the weasel guy.
He came along and just played him as a bit of a pitiful person. I suppose, in a way, they are writers too, aren't they? Because they write... Yeah,
but they don't get any of the moolah at the end. Mackenzie Crook,
You know, in America, Mackenzie Crook, that's right. In America, there was a big fight a couple of years ago because American Equity said, shouldn't give people their ideas, but they said that casts who were involved in the creative process of the play, in the early stage, you do readings, you get actors around a table, you're asking, and you do readings, and sometimes they're quite famous actors, sometimes they're not, but you want them to be intelligent actors. They actually did become entitled to a bit of the percentage of the play because they'd had such an
influence. It's like the Procol Harum, White Shade of Pale. The organist eventually sued them years later for about $2 million because they said it was so pivotal, his organ in it, that he won the case. And the Monty Python, the producer said, I should get a sixth of the Monty Python. They said, no, you weren't Monty Python, and he won his case.
Right. What John Barry and Monty Moore.
But if you look at what just happened, which congratulations, Ash has just taken over on what just happens. It comes out 10 a.m. on a Saturday on YouTube,
and tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Yeah. But the point is, since you arrived, it's gone from 300,000 viewers to 750,000 viewers, which I think is incredible. You've got to have been bringing something to it, and obviously, you don't just get given a script.
And I want my cut.
Yeah, but guys, I mean, don't you find in your job, just like in my job, aren't you driven to tell stories? You hear a story and you think, I've got to get on the air and I've got to tell that.
I just do it for the money.
Well, the problem is
it's because it's enjoyable, isn't it?
Every story I tell about my life, I get into trouble about. But anyway,
it's how we communicate. It's how
just a final matter of interest. It's I know this is a stupid question, but please try and extrapolate something sensible out of it. How is theatre in Britain nowadays? Is it vibrant? Is it in a good place? Is it in a bad place? What are your observations?
It is endangered, and a lot of the support structures that made British theatre great are in trouble, especially regional theatre, which used to be the pipeline. And, you know, a lot of the great actors, a lot of the great writers we have came through that. But it's still the best in the world. And the thing is, I don't know.
But actors aren't as good. Do you remember, Lou, we had all the working class actors like Julie Walters in the 80s? It's all now the upper class, and it seems to have lost a bit of a dimension.
My cousin gave Julie Walters her break. Lewis Gilbert, the film director, did Educating Rita. And he did Alfie with Michael Caine. But that's
great.
Beside the point. But no, actors are just as good now. In fact, but it's like you said, we don't have the star culture, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. My play, That Bastard Puccini, we haven't got any stars, and we've got 3 actors who are so talented, they just make your head spin and make you fall in love with them, make you laugh, and everyone comes out every time just saying, my God, I've never heard of these guys, and they're incredible, and you should have heard of them. It's just the culture's changed.
Right,
go see the play.
Thank you for
joining.
So That Bastard Puccini, where is it playing at?
It's at the Park Theatre until August the 9th. Very affordable, great night out.
How much is an average ticket?
Musical.
What, 40 quid or something?
I think it's less. I think it's like around £22.
Oh, that is really... That's like 1990s price, yeah.
We're coming.
And very important, when my kids came, they make their own pizzas. They make the dough during the day. They do really good pizzas.
Really? That's slightly bizarre, but yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Again, saves on the cost. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck with it. We'll try and get down and see that, definitely.
Lovely chatting to you guys.
Great, thanks a lot. That's James Invan. I think is the correct spelling of the name, and he's a playwright. Do you know what? We thought we'd do something different to open the show tonight.
Highbrow, give you a bit of education, make you feel a bit. But anyway, go back to the normal stuff now.
Back to the normal show. Yeah. We'll be back in a moment when we're with Anna McGovern slagging off Hamas. Amen to that, brother.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. This is Andre Walker and Asher Gould. 0344 499 1000. What I want you to do is put that phone number into your phone, and that will make life easier. Anyway, I want to now talk about a story which has come as no surprise to me, but let me read it from our little script that we get given, which isn't really a script, but okay. Iran is reportedly using North African migration routes, especially via a partnership with Algeria, to smuggle radicalised operatives into Europe disguised as asylum seekers. Intelligence suggests that Polisario Front, a Western Saharan separatist group backed by Algeria, is now being co-opted by Iran and Hezbollah in a broader infiltration strategy. This migration jihad is described as hybrid warfare aimed at destabilising the West, particularly France and the UK. by embedding extremists in flows of migrants. Now, I've got to be honest with you, we never believed that a country was deliberately trying to infiltrate Britain, but we always knew that the asylum seekers and refugees, most of whom are not real asylum seekers or refugees, do have radical elements on them. I remember seeing William Hague once and somebody asking him how many battalions of the Islamic State have been put on the ground in Europe already.
Well, I disagree. I always thought that terrorist groups from Iran would have been sending people in. Well, because why wouldn't you? You want to have your sleeper cells in. Why smuggle them in? Well, you could just land in a rubber boat and you just get put in a... So obviously terrorists will have been coming to this country.
But that raises the question, will there be a 7th of October in the United Kingdom where a large number of sleepers... Because,
well, of course there could be. I mean, it could be a lot worse than that because there's, you know, at 50, it could be thousands. It could be a stack of weapons. So if they go and get them and it's in one day.
So if you think about it, one of the things that Hezbollah successfully did was stayed off the radar with the Israelis. Now, let's be honest with you. When you start, you know, going online, looking at radical content or whatever, you're already on an MI6 watch list, or MI5 watch list. But that would have to be in Britain. If you come from Algeria, imagine, and I'm making this up, so I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you could say, right, on the 30th of October, at midday, go out and slit the throats of as many people as possible. And you could put 1,000 people into Britain and they wouldn't have to communicate with each other. They'd just know at the designated time to start that terrorist attack. Anyway, Anna McGovern is a journalist and commentator. Anna, are you worried about something like that happening?
Yeah, 100%. And I just think it's getting completely out of control here. I mean, you've got Keir Starmer, for example. What you constantly see on social media is that he'll release these soundbite sweeping statements about how he's going to tackle the immigration crisis. This is what my government's going to do. But when you just keep putting meaningless words out there and that's not followed up with any decisive action.
Smash the gangs. What about the actual migrants? He's not putting any blame on them who are breaking the law coming in the first place. Some who will have nefarious reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for the public, when you just constantly see, you know, these statements being put out with nothing actually following through, and then the crisis just getting worse and worse, people are going to get fed up. And then, as you both know, you know, I'm part of the Women's Safety Initiative, which is, you know, this highlights the issues of mass immigration and how that directly impacts women's safety. And it just feels like time and time again, women's safety is being completely disregarded in all of this conversation. And the government is not taking any decisive action.
Well, that's quite interesting.
Well, they're clamping down on the people that complain about it.
I mean, I've always said that I wanted to support the Women's Safety Initiative. We bring you on to give us regular updates. I've made donations as well. Just tell us exactly what you are doing. What happens on a day-to-day basis in the Women's Safety Initiative? Because I've got to be honest with you, one of the things that I've noticed, Anna, since you raised this with people like Jess Gill and others, a large number of our audience are extremely concerned about this, and women, whether they be younger or older, have had experiences of these sorts of problems.
100%, and we've recently now had over 500 women join the organisation. Now, we started a couple of months ago, so I think this is an issue that resonates very deeply with them, because time and time again their safety is being completely...
Well, look at what happened in Epping. I mean...
Exactly. And what we do in the Women's Safety Initiative is we look at the facts, we raise awareness of these issues, and we also give women a platform to talk about their own stories, how they've been directly impacted by these issues. And we also speak to, you know, those in power, members of parliament, for across parliament.
What about the rape gangs? There's hundreds of thousands of girls. Have you got a section just dealing with that? Because that's such a massive thing on its own.
So I'm actually organising a charity concert, which is happening on the 30th of August. Anyone can buy a ticket if you're listening. You can buy
a music. What music?
And so it'll be a live band that's performing, and all the funds raised will go to survivors of sexual abuse and grooming gangs via James S's organisation called Just Therapy. So
wow, that's brilliant. So where can we get tickets for that? Have they gone on sale yet?
Yes, they have, and we actually have an early bird discount running until midnight tonight.
Oh, so come on!
Take it while you can.
Right, okay, how do I get the tickets?
So if you go
Just ask her for one.
If you go on the Women's Safety Initiative's X page, so it's Women's Safety underscore UK, and we've got the links plastered all over there. So if you look for an Eventbrite page, it's called Standard Strength Charity Concert.
Have you got the band booked yet, or are you looking around for?
We do have a band. So Harry Robinson from the podcast of the Low Seaters, it's his band. They will be performing.
Which one? What does he look like? I know I watched him, but what does he? Is he the bald one?
No, he's got like shoulder length hair.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he's a bit gingery. Yeah.
And we do have some special guests who will be coming along, but we can't say too much just yet.
And
it's going to be a very good, exciting night, but also for a really important cause as well. Every ticket bought is directly funding therapy for survivors of sexual abuse.
I think this is a brilliant thing to have done. I really do. I can't work out how to buy tickets because I'm not.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
I can't multitask.
He's trying to get a free one off you. Yeah. No, but Hannah, what? I mean, there's obviously the problems with girls. I mean, we know that's going on anecdotally. They go, "Oh, we haven't got the figure." Well, everyone knows. I mean, we hear Alex talking about the troubles she gets in London, but also on a sort of more macro, there could be a terror attack here, couldn't there? Like we were talking about. We've already seen Iranians arrested. Obviously, there's pending cases, but we know they will be here, sleeper cells, and they can just get in on the rubber boats, no questions asked. You even put you in a hotel to prepare you for if you are. So what's the thoughts about that? It happened in Mumbai, didn't it, a few years ago? That sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's terrifying because you've got people coming over, undocumented people. We don't know who they are. And I think, especially the more that this is happening as well, and at a scale that the UK simply cannot control, the government has no control over it. Again, as I said, they keep talking about how they're going to do something, but they're not actually, for what I can see, and I think from what the public is also coming to the conclusion of, is that they make all these statements, but the crisis is just getting worse and worse, and people are having enough. And I think that does put the UK in a very big risk, especially when looking into
why do our policymakers and our elites love the idea of rape gangs, love the idea of women being put at risk? I mean, if you were to read, the statements by the Prime Minister, most government ministers, you'd think that uncontrolled immigration had been absolutely brilliant, and that Britain was becoming rich as a result, that social cohesion wasn't an issue, and then you'd look at your own situation about the country getting poorer and more dangerous, and it just doesn't bear any resemblance to what they... Why do they think this, Anna? What is it? Am I missing something?
I think for those people who aren't as vocal about it, especially from people my age as well, I think there's the risk of, if you call this out for what it is, you just look racist.
Yes.
The thing is, this is based on facts. You look at the statistics for yourself. As part of the Women's Safety Initiative, if you go on our website, we go into this in a lot more depth. But I think for people who do call out on this issue, they just get branded a racist when this is not racist to speak about.
They just try to shut it down. I mean, there were figures, weren't there, that if Afghanis are over 20 times more likely to commit a sexual offence. You tell that to them and they go, "Oh, you're racist," and they just go, "White people do it as well." But they don't. They seem to be willfully misunderstanding it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for those people who call out the issue, is saying statistics like that, rather than actually rebutting you or having a sensible conversation, discussion about it, they'll just say you're racist. It's like, I think that's all they can really.
But it's not working, is it now? And I think they're realising that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just, dismiss something as being racist when the problem is continuing to increase and people are in danger. And this is why the Women's Safety Initiative, this is why we raise awareness of these issues and we form this organisation. And I think that's why as well we've grown in popularity very quickly. We've raised over £11,000 now for the Women's Safety Initiative, because I think for a lot of the women that are getting involved, they feel at risk in their day-to-day lives. The stories that I've heard have been utterly harrowing. And
in the evenings, women can't really go out. It's in like London in the evening on their own when they used to be able to. It was always a bit dodgy, but now it's like really dangerous in some parts.
I mean, but that is, and we'll be back in a second. I'm going to go to a break, but But that is cultural enrichment. The cultural trait from places in Africa and the Middle East of abusing women and treating them like pieces of meat, that has now been enriched into British culture, hasn't it? Because what we listen to the lefties saying, Anna, is that culture enrichment has been positive. Look at the curry. Culture is not curry, right? But anyway, but actually, culture of electoral fraud, abuse of women, mutty magic, machete crime.
I love that show.
All of these things are now part of British culture, and I think that they're basically just backward. If you believe in running around the loincloth and doing mutty magic on your neighbours, then you're a savage.
I'll stop doing that.
Well, yeah, there you go. And I think for many people as well, they do feel like that British culture is becoming something that's unrecognisable, especially what we've seen with the utter scale of immigration that we're seeing in this country that's just gone completely out of control. And I think that's why as well the Labour government, that's why they were put in a position where they were almost forced to talk about it, because people on both sides were starting to see how much this was impacting the country. Whether they'll follow that through with action, I don't think.
Well, I will tell you one thing, Anna. We're going to go to a break, but we're going to stick with you. I will tell you a fact. First of all, they're settlers. Secondly, they're settler communities. And thirdly, one thing that in human history we have learnt, it is better to discover than be discovered. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Do you know what? We've missed out on Hulk Hogan. He's now sadly died today. What's his name? Terry Boullier. Or something like that is his actual name. I
thought it was Shirley Crabtree.
He said he became so popular because you wouldn't take your kids to wrestling and suddenly Hulkster would break someone's nose or something that was all fake.
Yeah, but it's funny because we're like about 10 years apart. I know you wouldn't believe it, but I come from the British Big Daddy, your giant haystacks, and you can see the change. You were into that American Hulk Hogan. It's interesting pre-WWF. And post.
I'll tell you what we've got to do, and
Dickie Davis.
We've got to ask the producer Adam if he'll allow this, but you can book Ted DiBiase to come over. Do you remember the $1 Million Man?
Used to have Jake the Snake on the Whale Show, and the Undertaker. All the big ones used to come on the show. But,
I want
Ted DiBiase. Me, they weren't Big Daddy or Giant Haystacks, but they were nutters. I'll tell you, yeah.
I'll tell you, no, we had a teacher at my school called Mr. Snape, and he was nicknamed Jake the Snape, which I think is a great...
He was a funny bloke. He used to shout a lot, as I recall.
Did he? Yeah, apparently, The Undertaker reckons that Hulk Hogan, when he got the World Championship, Hulk Hogan got it off him by pretending he'd injured him in the match. So, like, when he put him down in the tombstone, went, oh, my neck's gone. So, for health and safety reasons, they took the world title.
They used to cut themselves and everything. The things they used to do to it was very athletic, very dangerous. Some died in it. Yeah.
The British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith, used to be.
I remember him.
He was from Goulburn. OK, Anna, any thoughts on Hulk Hogan? No?
To be honest, my only point of reference was
you could be his daughter.
I saw a lot of people putting it on their Instagram stories today, and before I'd been sent the story, I sent it to some of my friends, and I was like, to be honest, I wasn't too sure.
You were more a Dickie Davis,
like,
a sport fan like me, weren't you? Yeah.
Why don't we just accept that we're taking the mick out of Anna? But because there's no way she's going to know anything about Hulk Hogan. But here's one thing: I was watching Jeremy Corbyn on the TV today, Anna, talking about how he wanted his new political party to be about grassroots. He was saying that when he was leader of the Labour Party, they went up to 600,000 members. I mean, presumably, this new party with him and Sultana, that's actually her name, apparently...
The Fruit and Nut Party is the favourite.
They're going to... That's very good. They're going to be a real problem for Labour, aren't they?
And it's a gift for reform handed to them on a plate, because if you think about it, especially now 16 and 17-year-olds have been given the vote. So now they have this party. They thought it was called Your Party, but Zara Sultana came out and said it's not called that yet. So there's a lot of confusion of what the name of the party actually is. So there's that. They've got the Green Party as well. They've got Labour Party. So I think this new party will end up actually splitting the votes.
They'll get all the Gaza votes as well, won't they? Because that's quite a significant, the sectarian voting we have with 5 MPs. They will get the majority of those, won't they?
Exactly. So I think for reform, this is a gift for them, because especially now the votes are going to be so divided, I believe, between those three. That's just going to have more votes to reform.
Are we? Because, of course, this is the thing. Reform now are doing better than anybody else. You don't have to do well in a general election. You just have to do better than other people. But with this split vote, I mean... Are the Labour Party and the Conservative Party on the way out, Anna? I mean, my feeling is that the Conservative Party will go to becoming probably quite a small regional home counties political party. I think it'll still do well in places like Windsor, still do well in places like Bracknell, still do well in places like Buckinghamshire, you know, the stockbrokers about home counties, but they're not a national party anymore.
Well, I used to be a member of the Conservative Party, but I ended up quitting because I just felt that the Conservatives in themselves lost their entire identity as a party. You know, they'd go backwards and forwards on issues, and it felt like they didn't really have any sense.
Well, they just carried on with the Blairist project. They were there to reform all that, and they just carried it on. Cameron liked it. They just carried on with it. And Labour and Tory have both caused permanent, irreparable damage to this country, and for that reason, they should be permanently out of the picture.
Well, I was of the belief at the last general election that they needed to lose, because the Conservatives, they needed to go in the back benches, redefine themselves as a party. I think, to be fair, there has been some people like Robert Jenrick, for example. I think he's
been all right.
He's been all right. You know, he's been doing...
But do you trust him? Do you trust him? They all said things before they got in power, and then they get in and they don't do it.
That's the thing. It's whether we can trust them. I think they're starting to get a bit better, bit. Time will tell, of course. I think...
But Kemi Badenoch, but let's be honest, Robert Jenrick murdered Kemi Badenoch in that leadership election, but the Conservatives just decided to vote for her because she's a black woman. And you think... Oh, this pathetic, woke political correctness, diversity box-ticking thing. I mean, if you were going to bring her in for anything, it should be, you know, the strength of her character, not the colour of her skin.
She did have good character, but she seemed to get overwrought by it all. She's got it in there, but I don't think she'll ever bring it out fully, will she?
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I think when it comes down to politics, it should always be the best person for the job, the best person in that position to actually do something, and for the Conservatives to actually be an electable party again. In terms of reform, though, I'm still not too sure whether I trust them either, because I just think there has been blunder after blunder.
But did you like what Lee Anderson said today? They told him, don't talk about this migrant because it might affect the court case. It wouldn't affect the court case because he was just naming and saying the facts. So that was a sort of turning point. He's gone against... Normally all the MPs back up each other, and that was nice to see that he's gone against the grain.
I would have to look at that, to be fair. But I think generally my consensus was, well, but after the treatment of Rupert Lowe especially, that really lost a lot of my faith in the party. I am obviously, of course, thinking about the next election and who would be the best, who is the best of the parties that we've got to actually govern and fix the problems that we have in this country. I think a lot can change very quickly, so time will tell. But at the moment, I'm feeling very politically lost in that sense.
All right, Anna McGovern from the Women's Safety Initiative, thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to have an update on what's going on in Gaza, because the US has decided to pull back its envoy. It says that it's completely wasting its time in negotiations. Back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Do you know what? Over the time since the October the 7th attacks, we've talked so many times about what's been going on in Gaza and the way the UN should be a terrorist organisation, the way that all that
should
aid...
be a prescribed terrorist.
Yeah, all that aid has gone into just lining the pockets of murderers and thieves and violent...
And radicalising the children with the textbooks.
But now... But now we're in a position where there's supposed to be some sort of negotiated settlement in Gaza. What the hell is going on, Asher? Because we've got the
Well, it'll
US
never
government.
happen, will they? Because, I mean, all they have to do to get everything back to normal is release the hostages, which they will never do. I mean, Israel cannot have Hamas there, and their only real way to keep going is to keep the hostages and subjugate their population, and they'll never come to an agreement, will they, with these last few hostages? I don't think.
Well, is what's going to happen what we always do, which is do not solve the systemic problems in Gaza. What we then do is give the Hamas government or whichever radicals take over next, give them a big load of aid money for them to steal. They'll then get themselves back on the ground, on the feet rather, but rather than actually helping the population, they'll just attack Israel again. Is that what's going to happen?
I don't think so, because it was such a bad, what happened on October the 7th, it was a total point where they will not accept it, and the Israeli population won't accept. Hamas can stay in control there, and they've got to have the hostages back. I mean, the two war aims were destroy Hamas or they must surrender. They might allow them to leave, the remainders of Hamas, but I don't think they'll
and what's the deal? Now tell me this. Now look, to be fair, Ashraf is an avid follower of this, but you're not a foreign policy expert. What's going on with Qatar? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't understand why we are allowing all of these people who've never had a proper job to be billionaires in Qatar off all the aid money they've stolen.
Well, yeah, I mean, Qatar are sort of the financial people, aren't they, behind it all? They're negotiating on one side the ceasefire, but they really are the main people. They run Al Jazeera, that's Qatari, isn't it? And they're basically on the one side. And, well, you look at all the investment that they do in America and they do in this country. I mean, they own this property in all this area, and they have a lot of influence. I mean, look at David Lammy. I mean, look what's happening in Syria with the Druze. They're getting told to jump off balconies. They're getting beheaded. Thousands of them are being ethnically cleansed as we speak in the south of Syria. No one's talking about it. The IDF and the IAF are trying their best to defend them, and the rest of the world is ignoring it and fighting this new leader because he shaved his beard off and put on a suit. He's just Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and they're head chopping and murdering people right now as you speek. The media are ignoring it, most of the mainstream media.
Tell you what would be a brilliant move. I'll tell you what would be a brilliant move. So you may not know this, but because it's never portrayed in the media, the Israelis are not as unpopular in the Middle East as people make out. They're just unpopular amongst some leadership and extremists. But the Druze population, let's be clear, there are people in Israel now saying that the Druze should have their own homeland and a lump of Syria should become their, what is it, Druzeland or whatever, and they would be a staunch ally of the Israelis, wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, in that area, you know, there's Israeli Druze, and then across the border there's the Syrian Druze, and they're the same family, basically. And the Druze are in a lot of the IDF. You know, it's not just there's Muslims and Druze and Bedouins in the IDF, and the... So, you know, and they've been there about, you know, thousands of years. The Druze are very small. I think there's about 2 million of them, but they've managed to keep going. And, yeah, they tried to get into Syria, the Israeli Druze, to obviously fight with their population. And Israel have said, no, don't go in because it's going to cause confusion. I think some of them have got in. And you can't blame them, really. But, yeah, I think there should be, because they're never going to get... They're never going to get... So they're trying to take over. I mean, Syria have said they've done a deal with some of the Druze leaders, and a lot of the Druze don't want to obviously do this deal with these jihadists. And so basically there should be an area, and it would actually be a good buffer zone for Israel. And people are saying that's why they're doing it. They're not just doing it for that. They're also doing it to protect innocent people getting slaughtered.
OK, so the Druze, by the way, there's 120,000 of them in Israel. They are allied to Israel. There's 600,000 in Syria. And also they've got this religion which is basically quite similar to all of ours, but they believe in the Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament, the Quran, pretty much all of the writings of, if you like, that Abrahamic family of faiths. But look, I mean, my view is, if we were to give the Druze a homeland in Syria, that would resolve a lot of problems, wouldn't it?
Well, of course it would. That would sort it out totally, yeah. I mean, that's interesting. So less than 1 million, and they've been there thousands of years, and they've managed to keep going this long. But they are trying to, literally, a genocide, an actual genocide, is going on right now. And this is being ignored.
And this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Israel goes into Gaza in order to try and deal with a terrorist problem, whereas in Syria they are just murdering Druze people because they are Druze. Now,
and David Lammy gives them money.
The IDF, the Israeli Defence Force, is going in and trying to protect the Druze as best they can. Now, obviously, invading Syria is not very practical, but...
Well, they have been. They're on the ground there. And but I think they've been told by the international community to calm it down a bit, which is ridiculous.
So where is the front page of the Guardian showing the Israelis stopping a genocide? Where is the BBC? Where are the people?
Or even talking about the actual ethnic cleansing that's going on with their person that they're ally now.
Just to be clear, because we always make up these terminologies, don't we? And genocide is when you take somebody for their perceived religion or ethnicity or whatever and kill them en masse just in order to eradicate them. That has not happened in Gaza. It is happening in the Druze homeland in Syria. And what are we doing? Virtually pulling down the pants of the leader of Syria.
I saw a clip the other day.
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
A hospital. Jihadists got in. Next film was they were all dead, the doctors, the patients. There were about 30 people dead on the floor. I saw another video. They went into a flat. They said, right, jump off the balcony at gunpoint, made them jump off the balcony. They're basically, I saw another clip with an old guy. They said, are you Muslim or are you Druze? He said, I'm Syrian. And, you know, obviously they shot him. So this is literally happening now, horrendously. And we're all fighting that leader, Lammy, paying him, giving him millions of pounds of our money and fighting him.
This is the problem.
He's an ISIS Al-Qaeda murderer.
I've got a large number of Muslim friends, but it is a fact that there have been regular genocides in Muslim areas to remove Christians, Jews, and all the rest of them. And you know, Baghdad used to be a Jewish city, didn't it?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of Christian ethnic cleansing in the last 30 years. No one talks about it. I mean, Bethlehem used to be the majority Christian. It's now, I think, down to 10%. No one talks about the Christian...
What was the Christian population of Lebanon? It used to be basically 100%, and Egypt. It was Christian before Islam, and before Europe, it was all Christian. And then, obviously, now it's whatever, 80%... It's amazing the hypocrisy, because look, I don't believe...
And Iran was obviously Zoroastrian.
I don't think there should be genocides against Christians. I don't think there should be genocides against Jews. I don't think there should be genocides against Muslims. But what is remarkable about this is the Islamophilia of the British media, that if a Muslim group is responsible for a genocide, we simply pretend it hasn't happened. And for me, if there has been all this spotlight on the IDF and on Israel and on Gaza, then why is there no spotlight on a genocide taking place literally next door, and it is actually a genocide?
Yeah, I mean, Gaza, it's the only genocide, well, it obviously isn't, where the population has increased since the war began.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is with Gaza, whatever you think about the Israeli government and the IDF's performance, it's not technically a genocide. It's a counter-terrorism operation. A genocide is when you go in and kill everybody in order to eradicate them from a particular area. It's very clear that whatever the IDF do, their intention is not to rule Gaza. Their intention is not to empty Gaza of Gazans. Their intention
is to free the hostages and defeat Hamas. And when they go on about children being killed, first of all, it's lies from the Hamas agency, but also they have child soldiers. I mean, under 18, you're a child. Do you not think they use 17, 16, 15-year-olds in Hamas? They've got no scruples. So it's all a load of spin and bunkum. Anyway, we've got a little clip about it. What's this about then? Oh, it's there. It's about the State Department, and it's the Hamas exodus, the US pullback from Gaza ceasefire. He's a little bit. Oh yeah.
Every single day we have conversations here at the State Department. Every single briefing we have conversations here about getting aid into Gaza. It is a dedication of this administration. That's why we've seen the 90 million meals, the support of that effort from this administration. So, of course, we want to see as much aid getting into Gaza as possible in a way that is not being looted by Hamas. And this mechanism, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, has been a way to do that. So we're calling for additional support of that foundation to deliver that aid. The U.S. government is supporting an effort to get as much aid as possible to the people that need it without it being looted by Hamas. That is the actions of the U.S. government in terms of supporting that effort, and we call on others to support that effort to get as much aid as we possibly can. Of course, it will never be enough. It is something we are continually working for, to get more and more aid in what ways we can without being looted by Hamas every single day.
That's Tommy Piggott, the State Department Principal Deputy.
I mean, you are trying to do a deal with people who will allow their own children to starve to death so they can price gouge on grain that's being donated by taxpayers around the world.
There's no one to negotiate. You look at the people go to Palestinian Authority. They actually, if you kill Israelis or Jews, they'll put you on the payroll for life. You know, if you kill one, you get this much. So you know, they're meant to be the ones you can do deals with. So the whole situation's got to change.
Well, I'm keen on seeing a Drew's Homeland. I didn't even really know who they were until fairly recently, but they seem like good eggs to me. We're going to... What's coming up after the break, then? Shall we just...
It's a good question, that is. Phil Dave.
Oh...
Dave.
The press preview.
So he's, a broadcaster, commentator, bon vivant. He wears a snappy suit, and he'll be with us to go through all the newspapers, tomorrow's papers today. So that's going to be good, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, just enough time to say, if you want to follow us at Virtual Ash.
At Andre JP Walker.
And you've got to go to my YouTube, because I've got a video there about the way that ethnic cleansing is happening in Britain. It goes through how ethnic cleansing happens in Eastern Europe and makes a pricing of whether we believe that it's happening in Britain. That can be found on YouTube at Andre Walker.
Lebanon.
Please get over there. 03444991000. We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave, who at some point I will call Dave.
Like a schoolmaster at school.
I've called
Dave
you throughout the whole... I always do it. Anyway, Phil Dave is he's an editor at Talk, he's an occasional presenter and indeed an all-round knowledgeable man.
That's the nicest intro anyone's ever given me. Thanks,
yeah.
Andre.
Also, I want
if
to ask
only half of it were true.
I want to ask you, before we start, you are today wearing a dog tag that you've worn on every occasion that you've been on before, but I just want you to explain what it is, just so everyone knows.
OK, all right, well, the dog tag I wear, very simply, in Hebrew writing, the top line says, our hearts are in Gaza, and the bottom line says, bring them home now, and it's basically a dog tag that shows no political persuasion whatsoever. It's just basically in support of those being held hostage in Gaza and the hope that they are released as soon as possible.
Well, Gaza's on the front page of the Mirror, so why don't we start with this? Because I'm getting incredibly frustrated. I'll tell you what my worry was, Phil, and then you can tell me if you know any better about it or whatever. My worry is, there's no doubt now that the aid that we've given to Gaza has made Gaza worse. That is to say that we've emboldened the bad people, we've enabled them to buy weapons because the money being given, the infrastructure on the ground...
That's always been the case.
Yeah, the infrastructure on the ground in terms of the UN and whatever, and that UNRWA group or whatever they're called, they are clearly in collusion with the terrorists. So my worry is this. Israel has been through a lot. The West has been through a lot. The people of Gaza have been through an unbelievably large amount of hassle, upheaval, danger, death and destruction. I fear that coming out of this, we are not going to get the real change in Gaza that the people of Gaza deserve, because we can't have a situation where all the aid money gets stuck. I mean, I give the example which I heard about. The UK wanted to donate lampposts to Gaza, but the Israelis couldn't let them in because the lampposts were being turned into missiles. Now, when you have a government that is that bad, what on earth do you do? But I worry now that all that's going to happen is we're going to go, nasty Jews, oh, they've been horrible to Gaza, leave the Gaza leadership in charge, give them a truckload more money, and just keep going as we were going before.
Well, what I'd say is that if you needed any reassurance of how amazing Gaza could have been, look at Israel. That's literally all you have to do.
Well, look at how amazing Gaza actually was before the shopping centres. It was no open-air prison. And in fact, it's ridiculous they're saying... I mean, the only reason they're starving... and well, they're not starving, but there's Hamas are holding back the aid.
As you and I know,
and
there are some people who are starving. It's just not Israel's fault.
Well, it's because Hamas... a bottle of water will be $20, which they can't afford. So when there is this aid, they're all going to the place, because the Americans and the Israelis are trying to separate it to get it away from UNRWA, who are helping Hamas. And they're supplying them. The NGOs are against them because, again, they are on Hamas's side.
But allow me to try and understand this, Asher.
And there's a war going on. There's terrorists in the middle of them. But
so hang on a second. How can shops function in Gaza? How do markets function? Because here's the bit I don't understand.
It's protection racket.
If all of your... And I think we know what the answer is, but let's just lay out the question. How can it be that I buy aid in the United Kingdom and it gets shipped to Gaza? No commercial activity is taking place in Gaza officially, and yet my aid ends up for sale. And then somebody turns around...
shops are still open there,
that's the point I'm making. So what happens is we sit back and we say to ourselves, yes, there are people who are going without in Gaza, but my aid is for sale in the shops. That means somebody stole it.
Yes.
Fact.
Well, it was commandeered by Hamas. It's very simple.
So what they're doing is they're commandeering it and then selling it to their own people so they can trouser the money and take it to Qatar.
And the poor people can't afford it. So they're getting the free aid that the Americans and Israelis
The famine comes from people not being able to afford, because obviously there are a lot of people, undeniably, who can't get on with their normal life. Of course they can't. It's a war zone. Yes. Right? Why on earth would they get on with their normal life? So those who may have had some sort of job before this all kicked off on October 7th, 2023, they obviously can't do that job now. They're not earning money. The famine comes from the fact that they're not earning any income, they can't buy anything, they can't afford to live, and they can't afford to eat. So whatever you think of as aid going into the Gaza Strip, which, by the way, let me be very clear, it is not the fault of Israel that
they provided hundreds of millions of meals.
Getting to the right people. And might I also just point out one small detail? If people really struggle to understand the concept of what's going on there, how many people during World War II do you think from this country were crying out for the British government to help German citizens get the aid that they needed during the war? And the answer is none of them. So
and of course, Hamas, they want people to starve because they love their people dying.
I think it goes further than that, Asher, because I'm just sat there thinking. So look, a lot of the stuff that happened here was made for social media in order to galvanise views across the world. So basically, what somebody sat there doing is chuckling to themselves in a 5-star hotel in Qatar, saying, "If I steal aid, then I can not only personally enrich myself by selling it to my own people, but will also ensure that there's a good percentage of them that can't afford it, and we can then film those starving children, stick it on the TV to make the Israelis look bad. It's all a win."
And all the media go along with it.
Have a look at the people. Needs to happen? What needs to happen is the people who are doing that need to die. Why can't the Israelis just stick a bullet through their head in Qatar?
And they are doing for most of them, to be honest. Look, I mean, the truth is that there's a reason why those doing the filming are well fed. There's a reason why those who are doing the filming are watching those who are starving and filming them. It's because it benefits their cause.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
So you get to steal the aid and you get to...
And then AP and the BBC go along with it as per.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The BBC is disgraceful. Honestly, BBC and Sky News, I absolutely cannot believe what I have seen. In the last few days, it seems like it's ramped up. And I'm sorry, there are going to be people who are going to say, hang on a second, there's no one from BBC or Sky News to defend themselves. They've been a disgrace.
But as we said before the break, well, what about the genocide against the Druze that nobody cares about, and Israel attempting to step in to prevent that genocide taking place? Nobody cares. Do you know the reason nobody cares?
It's very simple.
Because the perpetrator's a Muslim, and unfortunately there is an Islamophilia which has infected much of the media, where in cases where a Muslim dictatorship behaves badly, nobody's willing to admit it.
Well, there's a very sad but true phrase that sort of seems to spread across the Jewish community of this country, and that is that if there's no Jews, there's no news.
No, well, that's everywhere. That's
frankly. Look, the upshot is that I think that we can all appreciate that without a shadow of a doubt, there are people in the Gaza Strip who are starving and living in the most horrendous conditions. Okay, I don't think anyone can deny that. It's not possible to deny it. There's photographic evidence. The problem is who's at fault here, and the ignorance surrounding who is at fault is absolutely staggering, and that is why the suffering continues, is because people don't actually discuss who is at fault here and tackle that
I should say we're not being contradictory here. When Asher earlier said they're not starving, what he means to say is there is sufficient food in the Gaza Strip. The problem is it's being stolen.
A couple of months ago they had enough to last till August, and it's not even August yet.
No, there is no famine. I mean, there was a bit of an outcry recently where the Israeli government spokesperson David Mensa, who I actually know, David.
He must be quite intelligent. He's a member of Mensa.
Invented it.
See what he did there. It's named after him. No, he's a top chap, and he's no nonsense as well. And I'm going to level with you. Politically, I don't agree with everything he comes up with. However, the point is that he has been on media outlets recently in the last week, and there was a bit of controversy because he said there is no famine in Gaza. And actually, he's right. There is no famine. No. What is incorrect is to suggest that people aren't starving in Gaza. Of course they're starving, but it's because they're at the hands of Hamas.
The poor people of Gaza.
Famine, by definition, is there's not enough food to go around. There is enough food to go around. It's just, unfortunately, it's not reaching the right people.
It's only going to the Hamas friends and the Hamas clans.
But we, and I'm not talking about the people in the studio or the people watching, but we as a country don't care. We, as far as we're concerned, give the aid to Hamas, enrich them. The Jews have been awful. I mean, it's just. But once again, I say, this is a war that was caused because Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Iranians feared that there might be peace in the Middle East, and so they deliberately attacked the peace camps.
There is no coincidence that Saudi Arabia, they were about to sign the Abraham Accords. And as they were about to sign it, the 7th of October kicked off. Now, I do have to say, right, in the interest of balance, and Ash, I don't know whether or not what you thought about this, but I know that you are sort of just as deeply entrenched in this debacle as I am. And Andre, I know that you've obviously done your fair share of research on it as well. There is something highly questionable about how a country as secure as Israel and with the most phenomenal military allowed something like the 7th of October.
Well, they didn't allow it. They relied on technology and took their eye on the ball. I mean, look at the fence in Egypt and look at the fence in Israel, and they thought technology.
We spent. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we spent 10 years arguing about whether the fence was too draconian, and then somebody got a truck and drove through it.
Fine, but even if you put that to one side, where I slightly question it, and I do question it, is that Israel is the size of Wales, right? That's the size of the country. It's not a very big country at all. Driving from the north to south with no traffic, you could do it in a couple of hours. Right?
Yes.
It's a very small country.
It is.
It took 6 hours for military to help those who needed it. There is something very, very strange about that. But, and this is a very big but here, that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that it justifies the persecution that Israel has gone through since the 7th of October. It does not justify the fact that suddenly the 7th of October was somehow payback for the way that Israel has, in inverted commas, treated so-called Palestinians over the years. And it absolutely does not omit the fact that it happened in the first place. You know, there are people who clearly thought, for whatever ridiculous reason, oh, I'm going to break into someone else's country and I'm just going to go and randomly slaughter 1,200 people. OK, that happened, right, regardless. Whatever one thinks, that is a fact. So all of that is not forgotten, but unfortunately it's
the
not
hostages are forgotten.
My theory,
it's not even in the press.
My theory on Israel is this. We get all of our, we hear all the time about friends of ours and whatever going and joining the IDF. You know, the sort of, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, the toy soldier brigade. I'm in a non-combat unit. You hear that all the time. Actually, when you look at the Israeli Defence Force, you look at the number of people who are Hebrew-speaking professional soldiers who have been in the IDF long term. Those colossal numbers that you hear about manpower go down very significantly. I mean, if you, as an example, you're talking about the 6 hours, my comment back to you would be, well, you know, throwing a non-military unit at one of these attacks would just mean the non-military unit got wiped out. Your ability then to redeploy the actual hardcore, proper veterans, experience, able to... I mean, half the...
But it's a big failure because, like, since the Yom Kippur, when they had a similar lesson, because they struck on Yom Kippur, all the other Arab nations, they should have always been aware that they've always got to be on full alert for a full invasion. I mean, it was a massive failure.
Yeah. Look, anyway, if I might just sort of say, there was one headline in particular that came out within the last few days here, and it was across the sort of, when I say here in the UK, by the way, it wasn't a talk headline, and it was that over 100 charities condemn situation in Gaza. I'm sure you've seen that. There was a total of, I think, of 111 charities, in inverted commas, that signed this petition or letter condemning the situation in Gaza. And what was particularly fascinating is I did a bit of research on those 111 charities and organisations. Out of those 111, do you know how many have publicly declared for the release of the hostages?
0.
Almost 2. Right? So out of 111, 2 have publicly declared that there should be an immediate release of hostages. So, and one of them, curiously, right, I say curiously because they've got quite a curious reputation when it comes to the Middle East, is Amnesty International, which has not got the best reputation when it comes to being pro-Israel. And look, I know I don't want to hear from Amnesty to defend that, but just the point being...
But they tried to get this Israeli and American aid stopped, you know what I mean? Because these charities and NGOs have been captured, just like all the institutions.
Absolutely, but my point being is that it means nothing. So if 111 so-called charities, so-called do-gooder organisations can't see that there is suffering on both sides, then I think they are completely enough.
Well, look at the feminist organisations. The UN took months to come out about the sexual, the sexual terrorism that's going on.
Can I read this to both of you to see what we think about this? Because it's from Busy Bird, and I think it's a reasonable point to discuss. I'm sorry, but I'm confused. On the news, they are showing that Israel is stopping aid getting into Gaza, and then when they do queue up for it, they are shot at by Israelis. Surely Israel is starving the Gazans to destroy them, then get that land that God had promised to them, if you believe what the Bible says. Please explain, those poor people are starving to death.
Well, it's a very stupid comment, because if Israel wanted to destroy Gaza, why would they need... Or we'll just get in a queue and kill 20 of them. I mean, they could destroy Gaza in an afternoon. I mean, it's a ridiculous point. And this is the type of thing that people, a lot of these hundreds of dead are Hamas people shooting their own people, because of course this is what happens. People go, oh, look what Israel done.
Israel has held up aid in the past on the grounds it's going to be misappropriated.
Yeah. So there are a couple of reasons. Misappropriation is definitely one of them, and also checking it as well. Israel, anything that goes through Israeli land, right, which is very generously allowed into the Gaza Strip, as far as I'm concerned. They don't have to.
Egypt aren't helping in any way, are they?
To be fair, Egypt's Rafah crossing is not a cargo crossing, but
no, but they supplied a lot of the weapons in the tunnels underneath.
No, but they shut those tunnels.
October the 7th. Well, Israel did in the end. Them off.
But anyway, but the upshot is, don't get me wrong, Egypt, of course, could do more. They choose not to. They don't want to do any more because they, like Israel, don't see why they should. But the point is that when you've got...
Well, they also like it a thorn in Israel's side. They don't want to... They want to keep.
But also, you're involved in Iranian terrorists.
I mean, you can't deny that Egypt don't want Gazans any more than Israel does. And actually, if you actually look at the crossings, it's fascinating because actually the Rafah crossing, which is in Egypt, between Egypt and Gaza, that's more high security than the one that.
Well, of course, and the UN are asking. They're not demanding Egypt take refugees.
No, not at all.
Because of course they want to keep it like it is as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But in response to the actual sort of message in question, I totally understand why people think that, because unfortunately, at surface value, that is what they see. But what they don't realise is that there are a couple of reasons behind it, and it's not as black and white as it seems. First and foremost, when aid is crossing into Gaza from Israel, right, generously crossing into Israel, into Gaza from Israel, is that it is being checked. They have to check. Bear in mind what had happened on the 7th of October. They must make sure that all the aid that is going in there is
Israel
just
are supplying their own aid, their own meals now.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Well, that's because they want to make 100% sure that there's nothing dodgy within it. When it comes to those who are queuing, who are shot at, it's completely understandable why people would be forgiven for thinking, oh, nasty Israelis, how could you shoot desperate people? But what you don't understand and what you don't see is that there are some people amongst those queues who are causing trouble and are attacking the IDF and going for them. And if they're going to go...
And there's some shooting their own people as well.
They are going to get shot
I have to be honest with you, logically, if an Israeli sniper takes out one person in a food queue, logically one would assume they had a particular beef with that one individual.
They're not doing it for fun.
No.
Right?
Well, I think a lot of it is, they're saying hundreds, a lot of it is, of course, if Hamas shoot them, they then get to blame the Israelis for it. Why would they not do that?
The third and most important point is that a lot of these shootings are Hamas.
Well, why wouldn't they?
And
they don't care
it's
about
very simple.
Their people are more useful dead.
Yeah, because there are no journalists allowed into Gaza, quite rightly, for security reasons. There are no journalists allowed into Gaza.
I don't know why they've turned back Greta Thunberg. Why did they do that?
What a wasted opportunity,
What
seriously.
on earth were they thinking?
Honestly.
That proves to you the Israelis are not as clever as you think. Because they should have left her. They should have left her there. They should have elected her president.
Anyway, look, we've got to take a little break here. And remember, it's Mike Graham if you're listening in the morning. It's the paper review, me and Andre and Phil Dave. Back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. And I have to say, I can't wait for the opening of the Talk Sport studio. We sneakily went in when we weren't allowed. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, this whole idea of visualising radio stations is such a good idea. I'm enjoying it. We like being on the telly now.
And audialising TV stations. It's all coming into one sort of moulded a ball of data.
Medium. Yeah. It's an interesting new
moulded ball of data.
Anyway, on that bombshell, we'll go to the Times. Don't forget Mike Graham if you're listening in the morning in about 40 minutes. And Frank Skinner on finally getting married. Right, OK, that's fascinating. Why the London property market is on the brink. On the brink of what? A big rise, a big fall? Probably a big fall, although there's so much demand, who knows? PM strikes pose threat to NHS as we know it. They don't care if we live or die. People will die because of these strikes. Anyone on these strikes should actually be struck off because they're breaking their oath.
Yeah, but the awful truth is that unfortunately Hippocratic Oath is a bit of a misnomer now. It's not really a thing. They don't get doctors to swear an oath anymore, so they don't.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be employed if that's what they're doing. I don't
it's
think
kind of like it's more like a gentleman's agreement now. So it's not really.
Well, they should be
sacked
oath. Anyway.
Because I mean, if you think about it, oath is typically done over a religious book. It's normally done over a Bible, and of course, so many do not practice Christianity. They can't actually get them to swear an oath anymore. So it's not technically speaking.
You could swear on your Ganesh.
They could swear on the Lancet.
I was going to say swear on your patient's life. Look, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'd sort of say that it's very simple. Struck off, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Fire them.
They're not got the right...
Anyone who thinks that it is okay to put lives at risk when you go into medicine, fire them.
Do people love the NHS anymore? I don't think they do.
Just for virtue.
I don't. Do you know what? I've always been very critical of the NHS. Not that I don't want the public healthcare system, just our Soviet Union style system doesn't work.
It's a sacred cow thing, isn't it?
But I get the impression now you can be openly critical of the NHS and get away with it.
I love the fact that we live in a country that created the NHS, if that makes sense. I love the fact that we have a country that cared so much about its citizens that it thought...
And the world citizens, of course, everyone comes here to get...
Well, that's later on, doesn't it? Yeah. But I mean, a National Health Service was created, and it was the creation of Britain, and it should be a matter of pride. Unfortunately, what it has become is a matter of shame.
I mean, we dream of the days when Hattie Jakes was the matron. That's when it was at its height.
I don't want to make it sound like we're just going on about Israel, but I love that idea that Ash has explained to me in Israel, where there's basically like 2 NHSs. Right?
There's 3 companies.
Yeah, okay, maybe 3, whatever.
It's the way it is. Everyone has health insurance, but it's nationally backed health insurance. But
you get to choose who does your operation.
Yeah, they compete, the 3 companies, against each other for...
So they're not like filthy dumps.
No, but the other thing that also is taken into consideration, and it might sound like it's discriminatory, but it's for a very regrettably valid reason. It's because it's not financially viable to do it the way we do it here. And that is that the model in Israel is that depending on your state of health depends how much you pay per month for your health insurance. And if you pay a slightly higher tier, it means that you've got slightly poorer health. But as one way or another, they don't have this problem with waiting times and queues like that. I know people who are undergoing the most horrendous things in
but if you think about it, when you're talking about...
And they've got
it's like that in Germany and France. Most well-developed countries are not like us. We're like third world, man.
But, I mean, I think the other thing is, if you... the NHS is a system of insurance, right? Any government support is effectively like an insurance policy
in of itself. Insurance policy that pays out regardless.
But the point I'm making is that if you were to force people into some sort of insurance scheme, A, you could help the poor. B, what you could do is just not pay the tax for the NHS so far. You know, there's all sorts of options, but I just love this idea of companies competing against each other and they're going, oh, you don't have to go to that hospital, they're never clean. Our one's actually quite nice.
It's very simple, is that there are so many things that could be done to help the NHS as it stands now, or there are some very simple things that could be done immediately that would actually remedy the problem.
It's over the NHS. We need a new system because of the sacred cow thing.
People need to be brave enough to say this, and actually I have to be honest, I think I wouldn't often stand up for Labour, bearing in mind the NHS was by and large a Labour creation. I actually do
Apart from the fact he was a Liberal Democrat.
You know what I mean, but by and large. But I believe that the best way to do this would be here and now under Wes Streeting. I actually think Wes Streeting is a good man to do that. I'll tell you what
Streeting's got right. There is one issue. There is one issue which has always plagued the NHS, and it's workhouses. basically, when the workhouses went out of commission, they became NHS hospitals, right? So that concept of having the separate institution that you travel to has always been imbued in the NHS. Actually, this idea of having doctors' surgeries in the community that can do a great deal more. Very simple operations can be undertook, stitching and all that sort of thing could all be done in the community. The idea that you have to have everything in these big institutions, I hope Streeting moves away from
hospitals. That's what cottage hospitals work to treat, and they shut them because they thought they were too expensive. They weren't too expensive. They actually lightened the burden. They lightened the burden for the mainstream hospitals.
Yeah.
And furthermore, we also need to be brave enough to admit what the NHS is good at and what they're rubbish at. And the awful truth is... Oh, yeah, maybe. But the good news is that they are very, very good when it comes to things such as, and I know that our friends and colleagues know this better than most, that they're very, very good when it comes to cancer treatment, for example.
Yeah, but not if you compare us with the lists of deaths with another modern country. We're really down there.
No, but it's primarily because it's cluttered with other bits and pieces, like, for example, cosmetic surgery, which absolutely should not be done.
It's good when you get diagnosed, but if it takes 6 months to get diagnosed, it can be stage 4 already, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially with these strikes, you'll find in 6 months from now there'll be a lot more people who get...
I've got some time. Can I defend cosmetic surgery? Because I think if you're
can you?
if you're a young woman who has had an acid attack, then the fact that you're getting plastic surgery on the NHS. I mean, you can't just go out and say I'd like a new nose and get it on the NHS.
But you can. You just say psychological problem. I'm getting depressed, and I know of someone who did do that. Anyway, France. This is also in the Times. France vows to recognise the state of Palestine. They
Clever trick. There's no such place.
France will formally recognise the Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. President Macron announced last night. Macron is due to hold talks on Gaza with Keir Starmer and Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor. Today, French diplomacy has traditionally been more pro-Palestinian than that of the UK or Germany, but Paris believes its allies are moving closer to its position amid images of starvation in Gaza. I mean, is this rewarding Hamas?
Yes. Look, it's very simple, okay? The bottom line is there is no such place as Palestine. I mean, like, people can say that's right or they can say it's wrong.
Well, no, it's just a fact.
Well, I was going to say, but it is a fact. It doesn't exist. Now, whether or not you think it should exist is another argument altogether. But I would argue.
Well, I think that is the point they're making. Yeah.
No, I know, but it's you can't recognise someone that doesn't exist.
Well, you can. You can. I mean, you could recognise Pakistan as a separate country when it was conjured from the mind of Nehru. I mean, my question will be this: will this help? And I think what I would say about that is, look, first of all, if creating a separate Palestinian state meant that it was a sensible country that was forward-looking, you know, it wouldn't have to. It could be demilitarised. There's no reason why it would need to.
Well, they tried that in 2005.
Can I tell you what the problem with recognising a state of Palestine is that this is not a new concept.
No.
Right? Several times over the last 70, 80 years that Israel has come back from the brink has actually been attempted. So on many an occasion there has been this offer of a Palestinian state to primarily the Palestinian Authority, the people who have been supposedly in charge of Palestinian people. At every step of the way they have rejected it on the grounds that Israel still exists.
Yeah,
but ultimately they don't the ultimate
and it doesn't it actually is not convenient for them. If a state of Palestine exists, then it's a game over.
Yeah, and that's not their real aim. The real aim is they want the Jews out. That is the real aim.
But it's precisely the same as the Scottish...
That's the catastrophe.
It's exactly the same as the Scottish National Party, in my view. And I'll tell you the reason. If the Scottish National Party is forced to run an independent country, people would see the failings of it. But actually what the Scottish National Party do is just sit in Edinburgh saying how much the English are responsible for the woes of Scotland.
And emotionally blackmail them to give them more money.
Yeah, one of the issues that I think happens with the Palestinian state is these are not statesmen who've been criminalised. They're just gang leaders and thugs and criminals. And therefore, when you say it's your turn now, run a country, they probably couldn't run a bath, let alone a country.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Well, look, it's very simple. There is a reason why, for anyone who doesn't really know their history, okay, if you really want to know sort of how screwed up all of this nonsense about a free Palestine actually is, have a look at the flag, because that's very telling. The so-called flag of the Palestinians, I'm not going to say of Palestine because it's not the flag of Palestine, the flag of the Palestinians is the Jordanian flag. It's Jordanian flag minus the star. End of.
Right.
So that goes to show its influence and where it was created.
So can we just remind everyone that we did split Palestine in two. We gave part to the Jews and part to the Palestinians, who are called Jordanians.
Correct.
Right. So what we're talking about doing is a second, and this is the problem, because if now we do another two-state solution, then they'll demand another two-state solution.
Absolutely, it will never be enough. They won't stop until Israel is erased, because that is the ultimate goal of the people who are supposedly in charge of people who identify as Palestinians.
Well, the catastrophe is that it was an Islamic country and then Jews got in, and that is the biggest in Islam. Once you've taken over somewhere, you mustn't lose it, especially to Jews, and that was what the Nakba is really about.
Yeah, but what's really ironic is that the Muslims took it from the Jews originally.
Well, yeah, and Gaza, of course, was Egypt, and Syria was the northern bit.
Well, I
Jordan.
have to say, I genuinely believe that what the Jews have proved throughout their history is that when the people are separated from their homeland, no good will ever come of it. And I do think we should think about that in terms of immigration. When will migrants to the United Kingdom ever be fully settled here when they've left their own homeland? I agree with the Bible, which basically says you should not put out your brother from his home in order to house a migrant.
Do you know what I find fascinating is that those who cry out for a so-called free Palestine are the same people who are anti-colonialism.
Yeah,
and now that Israel has been restored, okay, 75, 80 years on, but now that Israel has been restored and regained and recaptured from colonialism, that's not good enough either.
No. And also, I will say one thing, and I don't mean to be flippant, there's just quite a lot of sand in the Middle East. If sand's what you want, there's loads. You could just find another lump of old sand. I mean, the reality is, Israel has been built from nothing. Even I went there a couple of months ago, and I'd been before in 1998, and it was significantly moved forward. But fundamentally, the Middle East is just a big lump of old sand, and because the Jews have got one bit of it, everybody wants that bit. Just have another bit.
But this,
sand they've got.
Yeah, but I have to say as well, I mean, this is also the misnomer as well, is that people think Israel is just Jewish people. It's a very, very multi-faith
There's many Muslims,
country.
and they're in the Israeli Defence Force, and they're very
in the
proud.
IDF,
and
they're in the Knesset,
they're the highest
Israeli
educated. They're judges. There's an Islamic judge who's put a former American president, prime minister, in prison.
Absolutely.
So anyway, look, we've got to take a little breaky. Mike Graham is next to be listening in the morning, and we'll be back with the Daily Mail in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Well, Phil, what have you seen on the front pages?
What have I seen? What a great question. Well, the front page of the Daily Mail, something very close to my heart, is I won't cave in to militant doctors.
But he will.
Well, hopefully not. I don't think
he offered them 5% and a cheap luncheon vouchers.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't think Wes Streeting would cave in per se himself. I think if it were down to him, he wouldn't, but he might receive party pressure. Who knows? But Wes Streeting...
civil service pressure.
Well, as well.
Because they're running the government.
They are, absolutely. Yeah, and at that, and also the unions are. But Wes Streeting, well, apart from the one that Anne Lorraine are associated with, Wes Streeting last night took aim at leaders of today's striking doctors, whose 5-day walkout is set to inflict untold misery, quote unquote, on patients. The health secretary accused union officials of acting in bad faith during talks or being too weak to get a grip on their members. They absolutely are. Look, I think it's very simple. As much as I understand why people have a right to strike in this country, I just think there are certain professions where it's really
where lives
wrong.
are involved.
It's
where
really
lives will be you know.
I think the problem is the whole system is ludicrous. I remember, I don't know if I was partnering with Asher at the time, but you know, I had the BMA on going on about how they didn't want the NHS privatised, and I said to them, but hang on a second, all GP surgeries are private healthcare companies. And he went, no, they're public sector because we supply to the NHS. No. They're privately owned by your private citizen members. And I said, shouldn't we get rid of that private sector involvement? Because from what I can see, that has caused a whole heap of problems in terms of the NHS being run for the benefits of the staff, not the patients. You know, suddenly they get very upset then when you start saying, let's privatise, let's nationalise your business.
Yeah, well, I mean, people are under a delusion. Nationalisation has never worked in the history of nationalisation. So I just don't understand why people are so snatchy about it. Yeah. But at the same time, the only way that private system works is if it's not allowed to grow exponentially. Yeah, that's the way private, because it's got to be on a personal level.
But they're contradicting themselves. They go, oh no, we're doing it because we love the NHS, but then if they've got those ethics, they wouldn't be going on strike in the first place. They're obviously a load of BS.
The NHS is run for the purposes of its staff, not its patients. Yeah. And I just think that's its number one weakness. I just think because the way it's run, I mean, if you had multiple different trusts all competing for the work, it'd be so much better.
Absolutely.
I think John Major wanted that, but as usual, John Major was shit, wasn't he? Let's just
Good Lord, right.
Inside story of the most glamorous wedding of the summer. This is Steve Jobs' daughter. I think her name's Lisa because he named the software after her, didn't it? So that's amazing. I think.
Oh, it's Eve, this one.
Oh, is it Eve?
He does have a daughter called Lisa.
Yeah, that was the first one. He sort of denied, but he did accept it, and I think she was left a few quid. Oh, so he's got another one, right? That's good. Monjaro's. This is the sort of weight jab. Left me so hooked on losing weight, I've become bulimic, says...
when John Prescott claimed to be bulimic?
Yeah, and he said it was the jowls because of the vomiting.
Well, no, to be fair, I mean, he used to look in the mirror and thought he was fat. So
No.
Well, so did everyone else.
Unbelievably with John Prescott, this is not bulimia, this is gluttony. He said what he used to do was go out for a 4-course meal, and because he wanted another 4-course meal so much, he'd make himself sick in the toilet so he could have a second dinner.
Like the
That's
Romans.
not bulimia, it's gluttony.
I just have no words. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, John Prescott, I was never his biggest fan. I don't want to speak ill of the... Yeah,
I'll speak ill of the dead. He wasn't a good bloke, was he?
Like him.
A lot of people said he was a nasty piece of work, personally.
I could believe that.
I could good left cross.
Oh, I mean, he did take out that mind.
He smacked someone. I mean, for goodness sake.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
In self-defence.
Yeah, I genuinely never thought of punching anyone.
No,
sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
He got an egg in his face.
These idiots throwing milkshakes and eggs at politicians and all that, I don't think it's acceptable. I want them thrown in prison.
I don't think it's acceptable either, but I've still never thought of smacking someone.
But it was self-defence, reasonable force, I would say. He didn't know what he'd thrown in his face at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, look.
He did have him, though, didn't he? I was proud of him.
Yeah, and remember Tony Blair says,
John is John.
John's John.
John is John.
I think it went down well with the public, didn't it, overall?
Oh, aye.
Because it was an instant sort of reaction.
Well, I suppose you could argue it showed a more human side to a politician, but at the same time...
Well, these chins at one.
It's just not necessarily that level of humanity. It was rather hoping for, but anyway.
And The Guardian, the biggest, greatest rock star in the world, musicians' tributes to Ozzy Osbourne. The man with his other bandmates invented heavy metal. He grew up in the industrial area, grew up in Aston, right by the Aston Villa ground.
Do you know what?
The sounds of industry led to heavy metal.
How devastated do you think The Guardian will be when they realise that Ozzy Osbourne was one of the most outspoken people about the Middle East ever, very much in favour of Israel?
But Sharon's Jewish, isn't she?
Well, I think her dad was...
I was going to say, she's not technically speaking Jewish. She has got Jewish blood, but she's not technically Jewish. Yeah. But even so...
What are the rules, then?
It comes from the mother's line.
It used to come from the fathers in ancient history.
Well, it still does in Islam. In Islam, if your father is Muslim, you are Muslim.
Yeah. And actually, Tony Iommi worked for my grandpa. My grandpa had a typewriter shop in Aston, and Tony Iommi, the guitarist, his last job was for my grandpa. My mum used to drive Tony Iommi around fixing typewriters, or as she calls him, Anthony. Anyway. Let aid in, pleads UN chief, as even his staff faint from hunger in Gaza. Well, I don't believe that. The UN are on it. Corbyn and Sultana set date for party's launch. Jeremy Corbyn and Sultana announced the Fruit and Nut Party yesterday that they had reached agreement on the launch of a new left-wing party after weeks of discussion, sending out a joint statement encouraging would-be supporters to register their interest. The movement has yet to be named, but as an interim website under the moniker of the Fruit and Nut Party. In a statement on X, the two former Labour MPs denotes have called the Your Party ridiculous, because it's not your party.
Yeah, it's called Your Party.
Yeah, my party. Anyway,
it's your party, Ash. It's your party, Andre.
It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to.
What was that sign up that they put under Corbyn, for the many, not the Jew?
No. So what it was, obviously the slogan you referred to in his mind anyway was for the many, not the few. But indeed, it was quite rightly corrected, should we say, when anti-Semitism was rife within the Labour Party. I mean, it's not brilliant now, but at least it was slightly better. And indeed, it was tampered with to say for the many, not the Jew.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And Streeting urges doctors not to join BMA strike by resident doctors.
That'll work.
Apparently, it's not going to be as popular because they, there's not going to be as many people striking because they know it's not popular with the public. They had a 28% rise last year. They said they were going to ask for another one and go on strike again. There was no demands from the government to any change in their work, what they should do for this rise. They just gave it to them, and that was that. Anyway, Daily Express, doctors' 5-day strike is a threat to lives. Well, it will end up killing people. Striking doctors were accused of threatening patients' lives last night as they start a 5-day walkout over pay. Shadow Health Secretary Stuart Andrew blasted the irresponsible and necessary wrong industrial action and accused ministers of political cowardice that invited the chaos. And the problem is the short-termism, because we don't have an authoritarian... Well, we sort of do have an authoritarian government. But, like, if you're in China, you plan for many years. They don't care about what's happening. They care about the election in 4 years, don't they? That's the trouble,
always.
ultimately.
But this is what they're like now. Every single blooming politician, all they're doing is looking
Keeping
ahead
power.
and trying to make sure they maintain... Why do you think so many of these rotten politicians jump ship all the time?
By the way,
it's nothing to do with what they believe that their policies are changing. It's because they're trying to save their jobs.
Yeah,
at the bottom of the Daily Express, there's an advert saying which Tesco Club Card members can get a crate of Diet Coke or Coca-Cola for £5, right? Look at
15
Look at that photoshopping. That is awful. That's not a box of cola. They've literally just copied and pasted that from a picture, haven't they? What an awful piece of awful.
One thing I do notice.
Are they the full cans? Or they've made smaller, thin cans.
If they're 15, they'll be the mini cans, surely. One thing that I have to say that I have looked. I can't believe we're discussing cans. Anyway, the one thing I can't help but observe on the front page of the Daily Express is it says underneath the header, the banner, Daily Express, it does actually say backing Britain for 125 years. And then curiously, immediately under that, it says Gaza crisis. That's not really backing Britain, is it?
No. By the way, can I say one thing about the Lionesses? They all look the same to me. They are all identikit, blonde female.
They all have their ponytail, don't they? It's true.
Well, I'd imagine it's probably quite irritating playing football with hair dangling down.
No, but
they could have pigtails, or they could have plaits.
Like they could have ones. That's the one that's got the bee on her face, or something. Like you could distinguish them in some way. Like one of they should all be forced to have a different
sort of fashion thing, isn't it? Because when women do get together, they seem to copy each other and stuff.
Mind you, the Lionesses were slagged off, weren't they, for not being diverse enough?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a meritocracy.
Yeah.
No, they were, because there's not many black players in, and they said, well, the men's team.
Can they play football? Can
exactly,
they win? That's all I care.
And if they're going to argue that, then you could say there's too many black people in the England team, because it's hard when that's not representative. But it's just football is a meritocracy, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I mean, I'm going to level with you. I'm not actually the biggest fan of women's. I'm not the biggest fan of football, period. But I mean, I just don't like women's football, if I'm honest.
Why not?
Why? Because I just don't think there's.
I'm not.
Well, no, look. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, my school team would beat the England late. I mean, and a good school team with 18-year-olds, which some of them will be semi-professional, professional footballers, would beat the.
Yeah, but my brother gets very upset about this because he runs a girls' football team that I think his daughter's in, and he says, "Why should girls get excluded?"
No, they shouldn't be excluded.
I just don't personally like it. There is something to me.
Well, I don't personally like cigars and whiskey.
There was women's football.
That's it. That's exactly the point. It's a matter of taste.
It got big in the 1930s because of the war, and everyone loved it. And remember, women were tough back then. They were actually some good matches, and they got full houses. And then they banned it, the sexist male. I've no opposition to women's football. They should maybe make the pitches smaller, like in cricket. You make it small. No, because you
can make the match a bit shorter as well.
Yeah, you should, because they are physically. There is a difference in cricket. It's the boundaries are brought in, and they are shorter in general.
I'll tell you one thing though. I was impressed by the number of people that watched that semi-final. I mean, that crowd, that wasn't a capacity crowd, wasn't far off.
Are you going to watch the final?
Well, there is a comedy value. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Look, the bottom line is, for me, is
they are getting better though. They technically are very gifted.
They're brilliant. They're a hell of a lot better than the men's team. Let's be honest.
The keepers are sometimes.
They are considerably better than the men's football team. That's for sure. But look, as far as I'm concerned, the reason why I don't like it personally is I just think there is something, and I know I'm going to get the messages now, but forgive me, this is just how I feel. There's something not particularly ladylike about women playing football. What can I tell you?
No, but there's some very beautiful ones. In fact, there's one that plays for Villa, and she's all over Twitter. I mean, it's a bit sexist, but there's some very attractive.
I'm really sorry,
very
but
attractive
ones this is where I've got concerns about trans, because the tomboys,
Rachel Daly,
the tomboys tend to be the birds that are the hottest in the end. So if your daughter's a tomboy, encourage that.
Like Kylie Minogue in Neighbours.
My advice to anybody getting married,
she was a mechanic.
Discourage an interest in baking. Right, because her bum will end up the size of the White House if she gets involved.
And on that bombshell, we'll be back in a minute and a half.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Well, let's just press on then, lads.
Right, who are Daily Star, the most important paper? Hulk Hogan, 1953 to 2025. By the way, I was reading a story here. Hulk Hogan, the idea to call him Hulk came after Bollier appeared...
Boulier.
Is that his name?
His name's Terry Boulier, I think.
Oh, Terry Boulier appeared on a local talk show with Lou Ferrigno. Now, back then, Ferrigno, it's Ferrigno, but I like Ferrigno. I met him once in a black tie event. He was portraying the role of the Incredible Hulk during the appearance. He noticed that Bollier was bigger than
the front page. You were wearing a black tie.
Yeah, it was a Heritage Foundation Awards.
Wow.
And somehow this is how he earned the Hulk part of his stage name. Sorry, it's gone down. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
So he was bigger than the Hulk, so he's not the Incredible Hulk, he was Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, but I saw once a documentary and Arnold Schwarzenegger, it was during the Mr. Universe, and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ferringo are there. And you know, before they go, literally before they go up and do all their thing, they're all oiled up. There's a lot of psyching out, and you could see Arnold Schwarzenegger go, yes, you look at you look weak. And he was like all intimidated by Schwarzenegger, and it worked because he won all of them, didn't he, Schwarzenegger? Anyway, wrestling icon Hulk Hogan died aged 71 last night after suffering a cardiac arrest. The flamboyant WWE brawler was found dead in his Florida mansion. He had been plagued by health problems in recent years, and he made most of his money because he did a sex tape and someone nicked it and released it, and he sued him and got about $50 million out of it, so he did all right out of this sex tape.
Good Lord.
Yeah, imagine a Hulk Hogan sex tape.
Well, I'd rather not, but yeah.
Well, no need to imagine it. It's probably on there. Here's Johnny, and there's Donald Trump. It looks like he's on the beach or something.
Yeah, it looks a bit AI, that doesn't look genuine, does it? Is that actually him? Do you think that looks like it's been photoshopped?
I know, it looks very strange. Yeah. And winner day at the races. That's the Daily Star, who are Daily Star. The I paper. Streeting dismisses nonsense claims from striking doctors' union. Offers were rejected in rush to strike, says Health Secretary, so they want to strike, is what he's saying. Bill Bailey, quirkiness marks us out from AI slop. And so, because I suppose he's worried about AI comedians, isn't he, or something? Cause
well, I don't blame him, really, to be honest.
They are very funny. ChatGPT's them was quite amusing. Do you remember your one was like Bernard Manning? It was doing racist jokes.
Yeah, mine did a load of racist jokes.
Yeah, it did. It's just like Bernard Manning was alive.
Oh, actually, I'll just do this. Can you tell me some off-colour jokes?
No, don't.
Not live on air. Don't get it to say it out loud.
No, we'll just watch what it's.
Oh, dear.
I love my...
No, it won't. It said no.
Yeah,
good.
You just ask it for a normal one.
It knows that you are live and it shouldn't do that.
In the family section of the I love my whippet, but he's wrecked my life. But we don't know. You have to turn to page 25.
Is that some sort of doggy version of...
It's a small greyhound.
No, but is that something like a doggy version of... what's it called? You know where you said you fall in love with your torturer?
Yeah.
Stockholm
syndrome.
Yeah, is that some sort of canine version of Stockholm?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
How about this? Here's some jokes from my AI.
Whippets are annoying.
He says, why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Hey.
Yeah.
Next joke.
Nice one.
What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta?
Oh.
Yeah, that's awful.
This is good stuff.
Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
I've heard that one.
This is great.
Didn't make that one.
How does a penguin build its house? Igloos it together. Hey. And the final one is, why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired.
Yeah, but hold on, that's racist against penguins and Eskimos, because penguins are in the south and Eskimos are up north.
Yeah.
So it is racist, it turns out.
Not cool.
UK, not cool. UK ready to recognise Palestinian state in peace deal. Oh, now it's gone from France to the UK. Let's have a look what's going on. Starmer to lobby Trump over the deepening humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza when the American president visits the UK this weekend. I don't know if we'll have much luck. He makes boldest intervention on the conflict by a British PM. As he says, statehood is an inalienable right to the Palestinian, rewarding Hamas for their murderous
So why isn't statehood something that should be guaranteed to the Druze? Or what about
or the Uyghurs,
or the British?
The British.
Yeah.
Can you imagine we had our own homeland?
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah.
How about the Uyghurs in China?
Yeah, that's right.
They should probably.
They don't care about them.
There are literally, as we speak, there are Uyghur Muslims who are in concentration camps. It's not even subtle.
There's literally people being murdered in the south of Syria, and no one cares.
It's not even subtle.
Beheaded,
they are actual concentration
murdered.
camps.
Yeah.
Right,
slave labour camps.
I'm sorry to ruin this show, but. We can see a screen up here of another channel. How much work has he had done? Look at that face. Look at that. That's been rebuilt.
I want it known for the record that you're not pointing to my face.
No.
Face ID will now be required to access porn websites.
Good Lord.
Big smile.
Yeah.
Gracious.
So that's, I don't know if that will happen. I don't know if it's viable with the internet and all that.
Well, no, it is actually a legal requirement now. So it is true, because what it is part of government crackdown. I do actually know a bit about this from sort of...
Oh, yeah, you seem to know a lot about this, yeah.
It's based on technology work.
It's because of the technology he's interested in it,
right, a.k.a. Sheet Geek, never forget that. However, it is based on that the government announced a short time ago that they were going to start cracking down on the way that these porn sites also readily available.
Are you worried about it?
I'm absolutely delighted. I think it's about blooming time that we stopped exposing young people to this revolting
Well, yeah,
stuff.
I mean, do you remember our day? Well, our day probably wasn't the same, but you just find some in the bushes and it was a delicacy. Now it's just thrown in their faces. They know everything.
Yeah, passed down from generations.
And it's really affecting young boys. They can't, they can't do the normal stuff because they're so... And obviously their girlfriend, it's a horrendous...
but you never saw anything in those you never saw anything in those magazines because of...
You didn't, the ones I found in the bushes.
Because the bushes, really. Anyway, let's not. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Mike Graham coming up after the news if you're listening in the morning. Corbyn's now new headache for Starmer. Well, it's split in the left. And how to holiday with another family. The Daily Telegraph farms close at record rate after inheritance tax raid. Well, we knew this would happen. They're basically stealing the land. The corporates are stealing the land. They're stealing the means of production. All the stuff that's essential to humans.
I don't think
energy, food. They'll take off us, the big corporation, even properties now. The corporations are mass buying because obviously landlords are getting out, the big corporates. And once they have control of everything, they have a monopoly or an oligopoly. They can charge what they want.
And then they're going to start looking at it. They'll say, what can we do with all this wasted land that's not developing? We'll put solar farms on it.
So they make it whatever it is, they make the money.
I've got to be honest with you. I think if you look at the United States of America and how big corporations have taken over their farming sector, I genuinely think that the farmers we've got in Britain are brilliant. I will say one thing. I want to drop trade tariffs, so I do think as a matter of national security we have to subsidise our farmers rather than keeping prices artificially high like the EU did. But we want those independent, individual farmers to stay.
Right, move migrants from Epping, says Police Chief. The Essex Police Commissioner, well, he's not really the chief, but he should be resigning anyway, so should the chief of police there, has demanded that migrants are removed from Epping following days of protest. Yeah, move them to a luxury hotel in Canary Wharf, why not? In a letter to the Home Secretary, Roger Hurst said the Bell Hotel, which has been the focal point of unrest, was unsuitable to house migrants. You don't say. Any hotel is, really. And that the presence of asylum seekers in the district was clearly creating community tension. You don't say again. Despite sending the letter requesting a meeting with Yvette Cooper 2 days ago, Mr Hurst has yet to receive any response.
But of course he's a Conservative.
Right. But anyway, they should all be gone, those people. They're an outrageous disgrace.
Yeah, the problem is when they say move migrants from Epping...
They'll move them to just
They're just going to move them to
everywhere, won't they?
Another place, and they will just cause more protest. So you're never going to win this until actually we get a grip on the migration crisis.
And we deport, but these aren't genuine. Most of them aren't genuinely. Anyway, look, Mike Graham's coming up, so keep tuned to talk, and stay tuned. Good morning.
Aha.
And we're back in the room.
For those of you that are still listening on Thursday night, Phil, are you leaving us in a minute?
Do you want me to?
I don't know.
Yes.
I think you should take some calls.
Stay around,
I'll
man.
see. I'll tell you what, I'll try and delay the cab, but all right.
OK.
Maybe see what I can do.
We might be back with Phil Dave, but this is Andre Walker and Asher Gould. I don't think we're convinced by this new voiceover. But what we do want you to do is we do want you to follow us on X, because there's loads more material also on YouTube at Virtual Ash.
At Andre JP Walker. Phil, what's your one?
At Mr Phil Dave.
Yeah. And OK, we also want you to follow my YouTube account, which you just search Andre Walker. Who cares? That's just product place. And if you want to call us 03444991000, there is one slot available. So if you call now, you will get through to our producers, and you may well be on the show in a couple of moments' time. 03444991000 is the number to call. We're going to delay Phil Dave's cab, and we're going to let you phone up and talk directly to the Phil Dave.
Seal the doors.
We'll be back in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's Andre Walker, Ash Gould and Phil Dave. Let's go straight to calls. Robert is in Hertfordshire. Robert, you are on Talk.
Hi, guys. Just a couple of points I want to bring up with you. A few weeks ago, the government was swinging their willy about saying how many migrants they'd managed to return.
Yeah.
Now, it was...
Which was a very small, like 2,000 out of... It was
99% of these was voluntary. Okay, so
we paid them a few.
Well, I was going to
say,
I think it was worse. I think there was financial incentive.
Yeah,
it wasn't voluntary.
I think they paid them. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but
for each member of their family as well. So it was like.
How much do you think that the government paid each migrant to return?
It's about
home?
20 grand, and if you've got a family of 5, that's a decent amount to where they're going.
Right. This is my second point. It's quite scary. I watched Patrick Christie on GB News.
Never heard of him.
No, who's that? What's that?
Yeah. No, he's not of this parish.
Yes,
formerly of this parish.
Yeah, he went undercover to a migrant camp during the week.
Yeah, seen it. Yeah.
It was scary. Well, this is what shocked me.
They're now getting in for free, aren't they? They're not even paying for their trips now, and what are they doing to pay back when they get here?
Well,
that's the worry. Well,
yeah, but there's money to be made, because if they're getting $5 grand to go home, they've only got to pay it's €1,500 to come back, so they can keep going backwards and forwards and earning $3.5 grand.
Although I would have thought they'll take their DNA or picture or something to make.
Really? You think they're that?
I think they are. They're not taking the DNA. I think they are taking fingerprints now. I'm not sure. We'd have to check on that.
Yeah, but then that's on the assumption that they then check the fingerprints of everyone who sort of keeps coming over.
And still,
anyway.
they could come back and say, "Oh, it's changed the situation on now."
And I wouldn't be in the least.
Do you know someone claiming double bubble? Apparently, in this country and then in Northern Ireland. Yeah. So they're actually, a lot of them are doing better than us.
Do you know 70% of people who come as refugees or asylum seekers to the UK go back on holiday to the country they flee within 18 months? Bear in mind, so they left the country saying it's so dangerous that if they lived there, they'd die. And the majority of them go back on holiday to that place within 18 months of getting the British passport.
Yeah. And then they should immediately have it revoked if that happens. What's your third thing, Bob, or was that it?
No, yeah, that was it. I mean, it was quite. What frightened me with Patrick's documentary was there's some evil people there waiting to come across. There is some real. They arranged for, if you see the documentary, they arranged for him to meet one of the ringleaders there. Yeah. But these people were scary. I mean,
and they're bussing them in from all over France. With police on board, so it's not like they're doing anything with the 800 million we've given.
To be honest with you, though, one has to assume that if you are going to pursue the line of being a people smuggler, you're probably not a very nice person.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But don't forget, it's easier than drugs, and
it's also easier to stop. I mean, Belgium stopped it straight away by returning them, and that was the end of that. And it stopped, and they don't come from Belgium anymore.
Well, I think you've got to have in this country. You've got to have the will. And I
that's exactly it.
Nigel Farage, I don't think he's got the gumption.
We had somebody phone the other day who was going, the SBS, we should get them in. The problem isn't the capability. The problem is the political will. We don't want to stop the small boats.
We don't need the SBS, just general Navy.
For whatever reason, we love uncontrolled immigration, as in the leaders of this country love it. They think it's marvellous.
You don't even need to stop them. You bring them in, you go, yeah, there's your tent city, and then the message will soon get across that it's not the land of milk and honey that it is. You get a phone, you get a laptop, you get free heating, and it's 5 times more expensive here than America. You get a choice, by the way, Apple or Samsung. You get, I think, it might be £70 a week, which has come out today. They're gambling with it. You get to work even though you're not meant to, because all the delivery firms are turning blind eyes to it.
The dentist turns up twice a week.
Yeah, the NHS turn up, and they've got luxury. Look at the Canary Wharf hotel.
Meanwhile, British citizens can't get dental appointments.
No, and they're sleeping on the streets. Some of our
former veterans.
And girls are threatened.
That just quickly. Outside, there's a famous hotel that's been in the news lately, which I used to live round the corner from. Am I allowed to say it?
Well, is it the Bell?
Right, the Thistle Barbican.
Oh, yeah, that's also, yeah. Right in the Barbican, a premium place to live in London.
The other day, my mate was walking past there, and there was a dental van, a portable dental van outside
Oh, get me
the
straight.
hotel. No, seriously.
No, I know. I'm really annoyed that it was
Along
even
with
there.
all the delivery bikes that are hidden around the side.
You don't get in the newspapers, is it? I mean, this is now free.
Yeah, well, we know they're getting the dentistry and the NHS and everything, while we don't.
Yeah, but they're coming to them.
Yeah, I know. They go to the hotel.
Does your dentist come to you, Robert?
No,
it doesn't mind. Doesn't come to me.
But why is it that we treat a stranger better than our own people? Surely that isn't an act of generosity. That's an act of evil.
It's worse. It's strangers who
Don't
pose
like
a
us.
massive threat to us.
Yeah.
That's what's worse.
Do you think the leaders, Robert, is the problem, Robert, that the leaders of this country just want to see the country fail?
I think, number one, we've got a Prime Minister who's a globalist. And probably half of his... so that means that he's not really caring about...
No, he sees no reason. He believes it's morally wrong for me to want to look after my nephew more than I'd want to look after an Afghan.
But I think they're onto something. They do want to destroy the country. I mean, that is what Marxists want to do. They want to destroy and break the system down and rebuild. They don't have an idea what to do. But that is what they're doing. And let's not pretend they're not Marxists.
You've got these middle-class Marxists,
Yeah.
right, who own their own... Listen, they own their own house and they own their own car. That's the first...
They own a few houses and land and cars. They own a few things. And they leave as multi-millionaires. Look at Tony Blair now. Look at
Tony Blair's son, excuse me.
Well, yeah, but at least he's actually made it. Tony Blair's a multi-millionaire. Why is that as a Labour Prime Minister?
It isn't, and he was an instant lovey, and his wife's they've got the biggest property portfolio in the country, I should think, apart from the royal family.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but they've got a big one.
Isn't the biggest property owner in the country after the royal family Eton College? Because the number of people who gave land because they couldn't pay the school fees.
I didn't know that.
The Church of England, and it's got to be the Church.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm sure it is.
That makes more sense.
Okay, thank you so much to Robert. Let's go to Heather in Gavan because we need now to understand the beating heart of the issue. Come on, Heather.
Do we?
The beating heart of this issue is when we looked at the Epping, both Epping and now Birmingham, we got 2 rape cases of 2 little
Allegedly,
girls.
I mean, there are cases going on. Although the one in Birmingham, he was convicted raping a 12-year-old aggressively. It was horrendous. He only got 12 years, by the way, which means he'll be out in 6.
Oh!
I mean, he's a 12-year-old.
If he'd have raped 6 of them, they'd have made him a Labour councillor.
And they tried the old defence, culturally, where he comes from, a 12-year-old, it's, you know what I mean? They tried that again.
Well, that's cultural enrichment.
Yeah.
Treatment of children as sex objects
but he'll
is
be
cultural enrichment.
12 years, unbelievable.
This is an inferno. It's the beginning of an inferno of this country. It's not a tinderbox no more. This is going to be turning into a right inferno.
Well, they are saying that they won't be able to handle it as they all go on holiday.
How many more news are we going to hear about little girls being raped by migrants in this country? How many in around about Leeds or Birmingham or wherever?
I honestly, I don't care what they say. Bring back castration. I genuinely, if someone's got the disgusting ability to even contemplate doing something like that, castrate them.
Do you know what somebody said? And we just had a message in going, you can make yourself feel better because when the Great Intifada comes, the Islamists will kill their blue-haired liberal enablers before they kill you.
Well, that's what happened in Iran. In Iran, it was the left and the Islamists, and then once they won, the Islamists murdered all the left. That's how it
Okay, let's go for Deborah in Oldham. Deborah, you're on talk.
Hiya.
Hello.
All right, Deborah.
Hiya.
Morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I just say that I love you all.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Goodness.
That's beautiful.
I really do love you.
Thank you.
Because,
Well, that's
very kind of you.
Nice. Thanks.
I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, when I speak to you,
Yeah.
it means a lot to me.
Oh, well, it's
Thank
good.
you very much.
That's good. Why are you on your own? You choose, or you were a widow? Why are you alone?
No, because I've lost my partner. I've lost my daughter.
Oh, good.
Sorry. Very sorry.
Well, we keep you company a bit, and talk keeps you company.
As I say, hopefully for as long as talk's around, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I said hopefully for as long as talk is around, you're not alone.
Oh, but why did you colour your hair?
He hasn't. He's bald.
I like it.
She's talking to Andre, not
I
me.
like the hair.
He likes his hair.
Andre.
I like it. It's a bit darker, isn't it? It's what it was when he was 14. He had this colour.
No.
It's original.
You should be a bit lighter.
Do you think?
You like the silver fox?
It could be worse.
Oh, a silver fox.
What's wrong with it? Is it because his face is too white? Should he bronze his face a bit more?
Maybe I should be like Kay Burley.
Yeah, you should darken yourself.
Kay Burley dyed her face the same colour as her hair.
I mean,
and then she started wearing dresses that were the same colour. And she was just overall bronze, wasn't she?
But it's nice. It's copper, isn't it?
Oh, I'm trying to speak to you, but...
Yeah, go
Come on. So you don't like my hair?
Oh, I don't like your hair, but I love you. And
Thank
I
you so
love
much.
Ash.
Thanks so much. Yeah, Asha.
Oh, thank you.
I love you, and I love Ash, and...
Phil.
Oh,
No, it's all right. I can take it. She don't know me.
Do you know, end of the day, and I love the other guy who's speaking now.
Oh, thanks. Hello. At the end of the day, it's night.
Oh, but you know something?
What colour should my hair be?
Oh, move on.
Your hair should be blonde.
But it was never blonde. I dyed it that colour.
This is original, man.
This
Oh,
is.
you should be
This is what it was like.
I just got a bit.
Blondes have more fun. Blondes have
I
more
got sick
fun.
of that, but the blonde.
Were you a blonde or a brunette or a ginger, Deborah?
I'm a brunette.
Nice, nice,
I am a brunette.
nice.
I'm a
nice.
see-through.
You know,
Transparent.
Yeah.
Senor Calvo.
Yeah.
Was your hair like mine?
it was a bit longer.
Was it?
Was it?
Mine used to be a bit longer. I could cover my nipples.
What?
Your hair.
Why is that useful?
Didn't you cut your hair live on air or
Keeps
something?
them warm. Yeah, did. Yeah, with Timmy.
Yeah.
With Timmy from South Park.
No, Timmy from Ramsgate.
You know something. I love yous.
Thank you.
That's nice, man. Thank you.
I
Deborah.
really do. Honest to God, right? I'm sitting on my own
Yeah.
now, and I've got my cats and my dog, and you make me feel good.
Great.
Oh.
Great.
What's
All
the
right.
cat's
Thanks,
name?
Deborah.
Hang on, what's the cat's name?
She's got a couple of cats and a dog.
Oh. What's the cat's names?
Smokey,
Yeah. And the other one?
Tear,
And the
Tia.
dog? And the dog?
and Smokey Tear.
And the dog?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
What's the dog called?
Tear. Tear.
Well, you said you had two
Tear.
cats.
I've got Smokey and I've got Tear.
So you've got one dog and one cat.
Lloyd.
Come on, we've got to get to the bottom. Have you got two cats and a dog, or a dog and a cat? What have you got, Deb?
Lois. I've got Lois, and I've got
Lois?
Smokey, my two cats,
Oh.
and I've got Tia, which is my dog.
Is the dog? And what species of dog, subspecies of dog is it?
My is a staffer.
No, I do like them. Yeah, I like
She's
stuff.
a
Yeah.
staff, and don't forget. But when I spoke to you before, when
You know, when you take, I used to take a couple of staffies on a walk. I think Matilda and another one, brother and sister, and they're really, when you're taking them for a walk, they really pull you along, don't they?
Do you know something?
Powerful beasts.
Like,
Short leg
I lost
ones.
My daughter.
I know the feeling.
spoke to you before,
Yeah, I remember you, Deborah. I do remember you.
darling, and I love you.
Oh. We love you too, Deborah. Thanks for your call. We're going to be back in a couple of minutes. Keep it talk.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I guess we're just going to go to Stephen in Glasgow.
Just before you say that, I've just read in the Telegraph, Canary Wharf Hotel erects a ring of steel ahead of migrant arrivals. I heard some were already in, egging the protesters outside, but that's yet to be...
Is it the Britannia Hotel?
Yeah, they've erected a ring of steel around the Britannia. A ring of steel has been put up around the 4-star hotel. It's got a pool, it's got a beautiful bar, ahead of the prospective arrival of migrants. I mean, it looked like a 5-star hotel. New CCTV cameras and metal fencing have been deployed around the Britannia International Hotel in London's financial district, which does have residents. People's going, oh, no one lives there. It's a residential block. Lots of people live there. James Whale used to live there. It was a lovely flat. Anyway, the hotel has become the target for protesters. Well, we all know about that. The Britannia has been commissioned by the Home Office as contingency accommodation for Channel migrants. There were people turning up with rooms booked who were just getting told, no, sorry, it's cancelled. They weren't even, management weren't even coming out and going, sorry. They were just going, no, you can't come in, go away. People would come from abroad. I mean, it's horrendous.
Stephen in Glasgow, you're on Talk.
Hello, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, PSL.
Yes, sorry. You earlier on you criticised the SNP would be a disaster for Scotland.
I did.
Correct.
Well, that's settled then. Another satisfied
it's true.
customer.
Scotland never used to be a self-pity country. It used to be a country that believed in itself, that stood on its own 2 feet, small but incredibly proud. I've always seen the United Kingdom as an equal partnership. I appreciate Scotland is smaller, but it has much more in terms of its contribution to the empire, much more in terms of its contribution to the military than the English can say, and also in areas of arts and science.
And it had a better education system a few years ago, and it sorted out the drug and the stabbing problems in Glasgow and other cities, and that's all gone backwards since the SNP got in power.
Ash, the left-wing element of the SNP. I'm a nationalist all my life. I'm not left-wing. I wish we had a Scottish Nigel Farage. You talk about...
Nigel McFarage.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say it's most predictable.
He's probably got a cousin in Scotland like McFarage, same as him with ginger hair.
No, but he'll have ginger hair and a pipe.
Yeah.
Hotsman, there's juice loose about this house.
Sorry, Steve, yeah, go on. We were just having a little imagination game.
Now, Westminster, going back to the days of Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, right up to David Cameron.
Well, they are all Scottish, aren't they? They're all Scottish names, and obviously Gordon Brown was Scottish.
But today's Prime Minister is a complete left-wing disaster. Correct?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's horrendous what you're the people you've got up there and down here, really.
Scotland can get ruined, right? But let me say this: why didn't the Westminster send in the Royal Navy to stop these invading criminals coming by boats?
But because I do think there is something in it that they do want to break down this country. I mean, when Starmer was asked Davos or Westminster, he went, "Oh yeah, Davos." I mean, he said it. He actually said it.
Who was it voted for Starmer?
Well, people didn't vote for him. He goes, people voted us because they wanted change. They didn't. They just didn't want the Tories anymore, and that was the only one people thought that would. They never thought they'd be this bad.
Why didn't Boris Johnson do something about them?
Well, he got stitched up by his own party. And that's the other thing. Even if you think Kemi Badenoch is going to be a good leader, she could get stitched up, as the Tories always do. I mean, look what happened to Thatcher. So you might vote for her, but remember you're voting for the party, and they could get rid of her in seconds. Well, months.
Scottish nationalist, but I wish England would have had a Thatcher figured about at the moment, because I don't think she would have allowed them to come over to France.
Who? Thatcher? No, of course not.
No, she'd have fixed it.
Do you know they're launching a massive inquiry into the 1984 miners' strike attack and seeing if there were like crimes committed? I mean, they're obviously doing it for some reason, but this is going to cost millions and millions of pounds to do an investigation into something that happened over 40 odd years ago.
President Macron has said that France is officially going to recognise Palestine as a country.
That's right, yeah.
Millions and billions that we have given the French police absolutely do nothing at the Coast Guard.
He's also going to sue Candice, what's her name, for saying that Candice Owens, for saying his wife is a man. And remember, you heard it here first. I'm not saying this is true, I don't think it is, but Elon Musk said, yes, it's true. He's not only a man, but it's also his father.
Right.
Anyway, that's not us saying that. It's not true. I mean, it might look it, but it's not.
To be fair, the allegation against Emmanuel Macron, which we've all heard, is not that he's, well, it kind of is these days.
Yeah, let's just move on. What's your other point then, Stephen?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just realised as I got into that the rumour going round about Emmanuel Macron is not that his wife's a man. Right, that's not the rumour.
He's a woman?
That's not the rumour.
No.
The rumour is, mind you, do you remember what I said once? I said the rumour is that the reason they raided Mar-a-Lago was that... oh, I can't say that, can I? In fact, I'm not going to say it, because they raided Mar-a-Lago because of stuff that was about Macron. Anyway, Stephen, thank you. Emmanuel, if you're going to sue me, always remember, I've made it clear that bloke is Bridget's brother.
Yeah, but you remember the Epstein list? He was on it, but he didn't go to the island with the... He went to the next door island with the older ladies. Anyway, thanks, Stephen. Let's go and get some morning spiritualisation and say hallelujah. It's Ken in London. Hallelujah, Ken. What's up?
God bless you, gentlemen,
Thank you.
and the listener.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to talk about Gaza for a brief moment, if that's okay.
Please do.
Before that, on Saturday past, I attended the support for Hamas protest in central London. Now, this was another experience of definite, vile, visible manifestation of hatred towards the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. That's all it is.
Yeah.
OK, tell us exactly what happened, Ken.
Yeah, tell us what happened.
Well, just the atmosphere is a demonic atmosphere there. The people are totally taken over by a spirit of hatred.
It's hate. They're hate marches, as Suella Braverman correctly named them.
Yes, and that's why she lost out. She was too honest, that woman.
Yeah.
She was. I like that.
And did they start on you? Because obviously you're there spreading the word of the Gospels.
Of course, we're going to remind them of Jesus. He's our only...
They don't like that, do they?
Well, that's up to them now. We can.
No, but what happens? Because I mean, we imagine that it gets a bit violent for you. But are you safe on these protests?
Yes, I always get protected by God.
There was that time in Newcastle where you got surrounded by all those gay men and attacked.
Well, these things happen, but there's a lot of problems when you preach the gospel.
There's also a lot of police around where you are in Westminster.
What do the Hamas supporters say to you? Because presumably they're not big fans of yours.
Well, they just curse and swear and threaten you and etc. But I just say, God bless you, pal. Turn to Jesus. But then the main thing...
And remember, Ken grew up in Glasgow, didn't you? So...
This Hamas thing, this war in Gaza, the answer to the problem in Gaza is very clear. Hamas surrender, nobody will be killed.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Exactly. Hand back the hostages, surrender.
What we need to do is we need to help the Palestinians or the Gazans build a proper functioning country, a proper functioning government, security services that aren't just terrorists. All of that needs to be built. But Ken, what worries me is we do not have enough. Let's call it what you'd call it. We do not have enough Christian love for the Gazans to force them to stop what they're doing.
Well, sadly, this is going to continue, whatever happens, because there's a spirit of antichrist is growing everywhere, especially for Muslims. But what troubles me is, not troubles me, but what I am concerned about is, why are the nations of the world not calling for Hamas terrorists to leave Gaza? I haven't heard.
Well, why are they not even mentioning what's happening in the genocide with the Druze in the south of Syria? Why is there all quiet about that? Why are they basically on the jihadist side wherever this happens?
The reason is that it's not only the Muslims who hate the Jews, it's
the left.
non-Jews.
Yeah, you're right.
This is the world problem today, and this is the powder keg which is facing the whole world, and it's all going to focus on Israel and Jerusalem in the last days, just before the return of Messiah Jesus. This is all setting up.
Well, no one talks about the Christian ethnic cleansing that's gone on all around there.
Oh, the Christian world is tiny compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, but here's something I want everybody to understand. Israel will not be eradicated or destroyed. The one true God of the Bible, Yahweh, guards
Yahweh.
and protects.
You're not meant to say that.
Israel.
Am I not? I'm trouble.
And Jesus, his son, the Messiah, is coming soon to defend Israel against all the nations.
But why aren't we willing, Ken? Why aren't we willing to defend our own Christian society in Britain? Because I look at Britain and I think it's one of the greatest countries on earth. Why do we want to make it more like Pakistan? Why do we want to make it more like Syria? Why do we want to bring in abuse of women? Why do we want to bring in the burqa? Why do we want to bring in religious intolerance? Less of a problem for Glasgow, let's be honest.
By the way, if you're watching on telly, you can see Ken behind Mick Lynch calling him the Antichrist. Anyway, go on.
No, I never called him the Antichrist. He's got the spirit of Antichrist.
Oh, sorry, the spirit of Antichrist.
He
looks like he might be, though.
And that's what lies behind these marches, is absolute evil. I look at the people's faces.
Yeah.
They're blinded.
There is a lot of hatred in their faces, and even the left people that have a bit of a funny look about them, don't they? The evil, sort of...
It's vile hatred, but of course this is going to increase the closer we get to the return of Messiah. But I would like to talk about, just mention about this David Lammy, the David Lammy for our government. He has absolutely no concern for the people of Israel. I believe he's a militant anti-Semitic.
Well, he's the one who's given money to the leader, the president of Syria, while he's doing this genocide.
He's a big. I'll tell you what. If I didn't know that David Lammy was a moron, I would think he was a Chinese spy, simply because of the way that he is supporting China against British national interests.
Well, the embassy for a start, and Rainers.
That embassy,
the super embassy.
That embassy that's going to be where the Royal Mint was, has a whole section for cultural engagement, which the planning authority is not allowed to see because it's going to be their European spy headquarters.
And the Westminster Council are against it, the police are against it.
It's Tower Hamlets Council.
Well, the council are against it, and so are the police, yet the Rayner and Lammy, they're all for it. Why is that?
Here's another thought here. Why are the surrounding nations, Muslim nations, why are they not taking in Palestinian refugees? When Ukraine got attacked at the beginning, the nations of the world fell in support of the Ukraine.
And why aren't the UN asking them to do that as well?
But I'll tell you the answer. I'll tell you the answer to that, Ken. It's very depressing. I'll give you a piece of anecdotal evidence. A friend of mine was in Tunisia and said that country had got significantly better because they had removed the penniless people, the lazy people, and the Islamic radicals all to Europe. So the Islamic world is improving because they're giving the dross to us.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Andre. But here's a thought for everyone. Listen, the Bible is true. The Bible can be trusted. We are headed for the second coming of Messiah Jesus. We don't know the day or the hour, but it's all getting set up according to Scripture and all according to the world situation. So, dear friends who are listening to this, never mind who you hate or what you think about Gaza. What do you think about Jesus, the Messiah? That's the big question. If you die without Jesus as your Lord and Savior, my dear friends listening here, the Bible declares you will go to hell when you die. God loves you, friends. Waking up, read the Bible.
Okay,
thanks, Ken.
Ken, thanks so much. Also, I think he's a genuinely brave man to go to these Hamas protests and make his case. Too few of us stand up for Christianity, for fairness and for decency. And whatever you think of Ken, he's not among the people who's been cowardly about the cause he believes in. Are you going more next?
Go on, you do it.
More next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, yeah, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and I guess we're just going to go to Carol in Manchester. Tenor, Pint of Lager.
Absolutely desperate to speak to you.
Why?
And there's two things, right, regarding... Anyway, God bless Ken.
Yes.
I'm a Catholic myself. I have my own mind, everything and whatever. But regarding with Christianity, this is a bloody Christianity country. I'm sorry, but we are a Christianity country.
We are a Christian country. We're supposed to be. We have an established Church of England.
We're supposed to be. Excuse me. We're not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be, Andre. We are.
A Christian.
Yeah.
I'm not against that, right? I'm just saying.
And that's the problem is we bring other things in. We're loving, we're kind, we're whatever, and it's not working.
Well, not only is it not working, a lot of cultures see that as a weakness.
But hang on. The Bible makes very, very clear that journeymen who come, migrant settlers, should be looked after for a brief period of time until they can understand your technology. That's basically what the Bible says, and which they will take back to improve the quality of their own country.
Like videos and record players.
And that is
However, you are not allowed to give them homes permanently.
Can it just stop a minute? That's going to be a bigger thing than we can speak about today.
All right.
But the other thing that I'm going to speak to you about, which lots of people have not spoken about or whatever, I'm not going to say where it comes from because I'm absolutely disgusted, sickened, cannot believe it. You're journalist kind of people, you can look upon it, and I gave it to you. I'll give it to you now. Right? Is at the end of the day, only a few months ago, we're talking about housing, schooling, blah, 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 and whatever we're short of.
Yep.
Nobody's talked about what's short of blood. We are short of blood in this country, right?
Yes.
Look it in. Because I can't do it, so I'm giving it to you. You sort it out with it. And the other thing is, I could not believe, and that's why I'm so bloody annoyed, excuse my language, I'm pissed off, I'm absolutely annoyed more than anything. I cannot believe that companies, you know, like for a space, you know, like have a little bit of space for, you know, like, and you have a group of people that come, you know, like, to encourage you to take your blood to, what you call it, you know, like, just to take blood, you know, like, with it. You've got the, I don't give a shit, Trafford Centre, right? IKEA. I could go on and go on and go on. I'll go with them too because I definitely know with it. They are charging from 1,500, 2,000 for a little tiny spot, which probably...
Well, look, I can't confirm that, so we can't just talk about that. But I mean, you know what I mean? We can't just make allegations about things. About that, without we'll look into it anyway. Look, thanks, Carol. Let's go.
By the way, what? She is right. There is a shortage of blood, and guess what it is? There is a shortage of black, Asian, and ethnic minority blood types because the demand has increased, but the number of donors from that community has not increased commensurately. Do you know what is stupid about all this? Every time there is a problem in this country, uncontrolled immigration ends up as the issue. What, you know, it's just unbelievable. Paul is in Wolverhampton. Paul, you're on Talk.
Good morning, guys. You all right?
Morning.
Yeah, doing all right.
Morning. Guys, I just think, right, you know the whole thing with the immigration, right?
Yeah.
Now, every time I go into my town or when I'm working or come off the bus, whatever I'm doing, there's always loads of immigrants sitting outside the hotels, which is the biggest, you know,
migrant centre,
yeah. Right, smoking, throwing cigarettes, and sort of. So, when you speak to people, they always say they're coming over here, they're getting all this money, they're doing nothing. Right, why don't they get them in the morning? What is the biggest thing that people get fed up of in their cities? Rubbish. Get them cleaning the streets. Make them earn their money.
We've got enough of our own unemployed people that could do that. We just don't want these people here. They're not genuine.
Yeah. So let me give you the argument against that. So I think a lot of people will have a lot of sympathy for that. The argument against it is that we don't want to bring people here to be our slaves, and also we don't want to encourage people to come over because they get a job. I've got to be honest with you. Given that these people are fake migrants, I think cleaning the streets whilst in the time it takes us to send them back is fine, but it shouldn't be a long-term solution.
I agree, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But basically, because people are so angry because they're being given all this money and all this hospitality for nothing, well, why they're here, make them do something for it that would make them feel, I don't know, less angry than they actually are, because obviously the people are like fed up because they're thinking they're getting something for nothing. I agree. I don't want them here. Nobody should say that they're here, and I totally agree with you.
What do you do, Paul, in Wolverhampton?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Me, I've just...
You're not on the dole standing in the street smoking fags every day, are you?
No.
In America, smoking fags means something completely different, doesn't it?
It's highly legal.
I know. I like a cigarette. I'm sitting having one now. No, I actually used to work in the beauty industry, and now I'm looking after mentally ill children.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. But
when you say mentally ill children, can I just ask you, has mental illness amongst children increased? Because we're very worried where we're sat that the lockdown has caused mental health problems.
Well, for me, these are more autistic, so it's like from birth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Paul, do you know Stefan from the marketplace? Stefan, are you there?
I am.
Yeah.
Do you know Paul from Wolverhampton as well? Do you know him from the marketplace when you're buying like bread and eggs?
No, he doesn't. I've not been on either. I don't speak to you guys very often, actually.
No, but hold on, Paul. We've got Stefan here.
Yeah, so we're going to do a Wolverhampton fest.
Do you agree with what Paul's saying about your city centre? You got people hanging around just smoking fags, doing nothing.
The hotels, yeah.
Hold on, Paul. Stefan.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. This might not be very popular, but I actually do think that Wolverhampton is a decent example of integrated immigrants until very recently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, of course, because that was slow immigration, same as Birmingham. It was all successful till there's mass immigration.
Absolutely.
Right.
Anyway, chat to Paul, chat to each other. You could become great friends.
Yeah. Well, you know something, though, Andre and Ash, good evening to you, by the way.
All right. Yeah.
I was going to say that there was a rather heartwarming moment last Christmas at the church that I attend, which is a predominantly black and Caribbean and African church, but obviously there are other races there as well.
Yeah.
And we had like International Day where it was a celebration of all the.
Were you allowed to wear a ginger spice dress?
Lovely. Talking of which, while we're on the
Stefan's still got his story.
Come on, Stefan.
No, but anyway, all it was that, like I said, a lot of different countries represented. You got the Jamaicans, you got many different African nations. But do you know what?
Well,
even in a church that's predominantly non-white, the biggest cheer when we did the flag parade was for the UK flag. And this is what I'm talking about, integrated immigrants who, yes, love your background, but they love the country they're in as well, and that's the reality that I see on a day-to-day basis.
But haven't black and white people generally integrated quite well together over the years? Yeah. It is immigration from the Islamic world which seems to be much more alien.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of African people, you know, from Eritrea and other countries coming in this mass migration part in the Boris wave and since then.
The bottom line is that anybody that came here with permission are usually going to be the kind of people that we need and are willing to integrate. Those who break the law to get here, not so much. But you know what? Because we've been discussing this Christian angle the last few minutes, I just want to give a quote that I heard the other day, which said, "Heaven has a strict entry policy. Hell has open borders."
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Great idea. Great thing to say. All right, well, look, I want from both of you, if I was to go to Wolverhampton tomorrow, what would I do?
Yeah,
my understanding is that Wolverhampton's biggest three exports are crime, poverty and ignorance. But
there's there's also a really amazing football team near there, isn't there? Aston Villa.
Yeah, I live right opposite. I live right opposite the football ground, literally across the road.
So what's the best thing about Wolverhampton? What's its best pub?
Molyneux.
What do I think the best thing about Wolverhampton is?
Yeah.
The West Park. It's a good park. It's a beautiful park.
Stefan, do you agree, Stefan?
100% agree with that.
What do you do, Stefan? What do you do as a job there?
Bit of surveying, basically, energy related.
Are you a net zero extremist?
You live in the posh part.
Actually live in Birmingham anyway.
Oh, well, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the posh part.
So have you lied about where you're from?
No.
Where in Birmingham are you living then?
Unfortunately, on the Villa side.
What, you live in Aston?
It'd be further out than there, but, you know, I'm from the blue half myself.
Perry Bar? Look, great bar.
Well, not too far. Not too far.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Castle Bromwich.
It's like that episode of Alan Partridge. This Domingo in Little Oakley, right? let's not do that. Okay.
I think it is.
Thank you so much to Paul and to Stefan. Right, I think
the yam yams. That was great, wasn't it? Great to have a couple of yam yams on. Anyway,
what we need to do now is we need to get everyone following us on Twitter. Come on, Asher, let's promote this.
At Virtual Ash and at Andre Walker. Follow us. We might read your names out. Oh, sorry, Andre JP Walker at Virtual Ash. Anyway, this is Talk. We're going to whip through all your calls. Back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I'm not convinced that voiceover guy's a real person.
You don't know these days. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Could be AI. AI. Okay, should we go to Paul in Bolton?
Aye, Bolton.
Hiya, guys. Yeah, fine, thanks. I was listening earlier and...
earwigging, were we?
Yeah. I think when you were saying that there's a lot of people in this country, they're annoyed with immigrants and they think that their own should be getting looked after before immigrants, but that's often not the case, because what happens is them same people, they often moan about their own as well, people on benefits who are white and working class, and they moan about the LGBT.
Well, there's a hierarchy, isn't there? They'd rather our people were looked after before, you know.
True, but Paul, let me give you a Bolton example of where I think things are fundamentally unfair. My two nieces are privileged. They go to Bolton School. There's no assisted places. I think the fees are like 18 grand a year each, which my brother pays. So that's a significant amount of money. But on the coach, on the way there, from their big house, which has got a lake and all that sort of thing, they go through districts of Bolton where girls their age are forced into arranged marriage, are forced to wear burqas and things like that, are abused, not properly educated, forced to marry their first cousins, parked off to Pakistan or Bangladesh for long trips. Why is it that there is a two-tier justice system here where the young people from migrant communities aren't afforded rights of genuine British citizens?
Well, I'm not condoning any wrongdoing, and living near, I live not far from, I live about 5 miles from Bolton, so I have to get a bus through, like a large Asian area, but we don't seem to have the same kind of troubles as places like Epping have seen. But what I was
I think it is worth pointing out with Pakistanis in Bolton, they've been there a long time. Right, it's not a new community.
Well, there are new communities and older communities, aren't there? Do you know what I mean? It's like that's what we were talking about before. The mass immigration is the problem. The people that have blended in over many decades, there's no problems. Well, not as much problem.
Well, I wouldn't say they're necessarily blended in because they're a community on their own, but there's no trouble. Right. There's no trouble. But my issue is a lot of the people who say they want their own looking after often don't want their own looking after. And as you say, it's a hierarchy. I'm from the LGBT community. We often get dug at. But I'm from Bolton West. I'm working class. I'm white.
Are you the G of the LGBT?
I'm not sure what I am now, to be honest. Because
it's got all confusing. There's so many different things and facets. But I've heard Douglas Murray talking about it, and he says, it should be just LGB, basically, because why do they associate them all together just because they have, a different sex act to a heterosexual? Why do they all get lumped in one thing? And it's put back gay rights. It's put it back, hasn't it?
Well, asexuality is actually a sexuality, so when people keep saying that's nothing to do with LG and B, it is.
Yeah, but how can you have a sexuality to not have a sexuality? That's like saying my favourite chocolate biscuit doesn't exist.
But they're people who aren't sexually attracted to people, but they're still romantically attracted to people, and obviously.
Do you have an asexual pride? Are they in pride?
Asexual pride.
What is it? Is it a see-through part? What is it on the flag?
I know what the flag looks like vaguely. It's I'm not saying I'm up on everything, but what I mean is asexuality is lumped in. The others are gender related.
By the way, can I say one thing about asexual gay? He's never found. Do you know what used to make me laugh? In the village, they always used to go, "Oh, there's the 2 old spinsters." Oh, they really? They lost their men during the war. No, they didn't. Often jobs that they would do. Flower arranging in the church was a popular hobby amongst these ladies, and also quite often one of them was a PE teacher of some description. The 2 old spinsters.
Well, there were no laws against lesbianism, was there? Because Queen Victoria refused to admit that it was even possible.
But there's a lot of older actresses. Some of them have died. There's a couple alive. I won't mention them. You might know them. And obviously
Well, I think if somebody's died, I think you can mention who they are.
Yeah, who died?
Well, there was rumours that Betty Boothroyd was a lesbian, and she's going out with a lady of the house on television. But I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, but I know that to be true. But the problem is the other one dead as well?
No, she's still alive.
Right, well, we can't say that then. But I'll tell you what...
Although it's not libelous, it's not defamatory.
I would love it if Thora Hird was a lesbian. That'd be superb, wouldn't it?
She's not alive, is she?
No, she's been dead about 50 years, Thora Hird. Yeah. Thora Hird, who advertises Stanner Stairlifts? Now,
she used to do the bed thing, didn't she, guys?
She was in all of it.
I wanted one of those beds, mate. Lift you up in the morning, everything.
The worst products for the elderly is that bath that you can get in and sit in. But that's fine, but what you have to do is you have to get in and fill it up while you're in there.
And then remember to let the water out before you open the door. Yeah. I nearly bought a house once and it had a Stanner stairlift in it. I thought, if I buy that, I'm going to keep it. I'd love to have a Stanner stairlift. Yeah. It'd be brilliant. Other stairlifts are available. They're just not as good.
OK, Paul, so what is the best bit about Bolton then, do you reckon?
Well, I don't think particularly like living in Bolton. I prefer Manchester.
Oh, really? So do you go out in Canal Street?
Well, not as much now because I'm less than 2 years off 50, so
right.
I'm not as bothered now.
So basically, in Canal Street, which is a gay area of Manchester, they paint out the C and the S on the road signs, don't they? Oh dear.
Oh yeah. Well,
I used to know that very well, actually. Yeah. The State nightclub. I remember the State was down there.
My brother's flatmate was Simon Nicks. Do you remember Simon Nicks?
Who's that? Yeah.
He was the DJ at Essential in Manchester, and he had a radio show called Late Night Nixie.
Well, I used to be in the A-Town building off A-Town Street, which is right there.
You lived in that place we called Halal House, but it was called Hillel House.
That was in Moss Side, yeah, back in the day.
In the days when Jewish students would go to Manchester University. That's a while ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. Rocky wants to tell us a story.
Hey, Rocky!
About Hulk Hogan. Is it when you're in that film together?
Yeah, Rocky would know.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, you sound different in real life, Rocky.
Hey, yo, Adrian, how are you?
Adrian, I did it!
What I wanted to tell you was when I was a kid, being called Rocky, I always found it kind of cool because when I first saw Rocky 3, you had Hulk Hogan in it, wrestling with Rocky. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And Mr. T was in one of them, do you remember?
Yeah, that was the third one as well. Yeah, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, and he was a wrestler originally. Mr. Barry Baracus was originally a wrestler, wasn't he?
And he changed his name. He said he was so sick of being racially discriminated against and being called boy that he changed his first name to Mr. and surname to T. So he had to be called Mr. T by everyone.
Do you remember his jewellery he wore?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I saw a horrendous story at the weekend. A guy who wore a big, heavy weightlifting chain. Apparently you get these heavy chains, and if you're right... He went to help his wife get out the MRI machine, and it was turned off, and it sucked him in, the magnets, and killed him.
What?
So don't wear metal chains. It sucked him into the MRI because it's very heavy magnets. Sucked him in and killed him. So don't wear any metal things by an MRI.
Wise words, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, on that bombshell, what was it, Rocky?
So, Rocky, is your story about amusing personal story about Hulk Hogan that you watched a film with him in it?
Have you ever met him?
No, what it was is like as a kid, being a kid called Rocky and they got Stallone, you got Arnie.
Were your parents Rocky fans of the film?
Yeah, well, what it was, the year the first Rocky movie come out, I was born, so I got named Rocky that year.
Is your actual name Rocky?
Your name's Rocky, yeah.
Yeah, my actual name is Rocky, yeah.
And is it your middle name Balboa?
No, I wish.
Because what was Hulk's name? That was like Balboa, wasn't it? What was his name?
Boulier, Terry Boulier.
Similar.
Boulier.
Rocky Balboa, Hulk Biglua.
I'll tell you my favourite. My favourite was Paul Bearer. In fact, there's a woman on security downstairs who looks like Paul Bearer. Do you know she does?
I hope she's not listening.
My Undertaker. OK, right. Thank you so much, Rocky. I'll get into trouble for that. Cindy is in Michigan. Cindy, you're on talk.
Oh, I've just heard she is listening. You better go out the back door.
And Andre, I want to tell you, your hair looks really sexy no matter what.
Yeah, but a lot of people are disagreeing with you, Cindy.
Fabulous.
I like it.
I think they're just shocked.
It's the shock of it, isn't it? The shock,
yeah.
Do you think you should wear more bronzer with it, though, or something? Because it's a bit like, pasty face with
Look
the
at my
dark
actual
hair.
hand, my actual arm.
Yeah. So he is actually a bit bronze.
I don't think he has a pasty face.
Oh, no, I do in real life.
Really white.
Yeah.
I do in real life. I have to wear Factor 50,000 sunscreen.
Yeah. Well, he's a ginger.
Oh, and I also...
Yeah, that's my arm, look.
There's no such thing as asexuality. Everybody is sexual. I don't care. I think it's just people who get into their they want to be cool.
They're just gay.
And the alphabet people, there's just LG and
The alphabet people.
Get the T out of there.
Some people say there's no B either. I remember Christopher Biggins got in trouble, though he got let off because he said it's his right to view. He said there's no such thing as bisexual. He's saying you're homosexual, and that's it.
Oh, no, there's definitely...
In fact, why is there L? Because if you're a lesbian, you're gay, so shouldn't it just be G? I mean, gay means man and woman, so why is there an L? Do you know what I mean? It's all very confusing.
No, it doesn't need to be. There's LGB.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be L, does it? Because G covers L.
L to the G.
You're a gay woman. You're a gay woman. You don't need... It's just G.
Oh, yeah.
Am I right or am I right?
Those in the middle.
I've
then
just
you have
wrecked
those
the screen.
We
right
got
down
some
the
in
middle.
the middle.
But let's pay tribute to Ozzy.
Sharon!
Who's that?
Ozzy.
Ozzy, yeah.
Ozzy song, guys. What's your favorite Ozzy? Mine is War Pigs.
I like the famous Black Sabbath one. Paranoid, yeah, that one.
Yeah. Or Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're singing in our ear.
I used to rehearse in the same studios as Black Sabbath. in Rich Bitch Studios on Pershing Road, Selly Oak. Rich Bitch, yeah.
Did you call them Black Shabbat?
Yeah, Black Shabbos. Yeah.
Let's use a bit of Hebrew. There we go. Right, come on. Teach us some Hebrew then.
I don't really know it. I don't really know Hebrew, do I?
Now he tells us.
I don't know it. I don't really know. I know a little bit, but...
Right, OK. Cindy, I want to ask you a question. Do you follow me on X?
Yeah, I think I'm sure you do.
Do you follow me at Virtual Ash, at Andre JP Walker, but at Virtual Ash? Yeah, you can see some...
Of course I do.
Good. Well, follow us now again. If
James Whale, too.
Thank you so much.
The James Whale to follow James. Hopefully he might be with us tomorrow. We'll see.
Woman.
Terry Kearney has followed me. Thank you so much, Terry.
Let's have a look who's followed.
Yeah, look. No, I've only got one follower. Look at that. That's a disgrace. OK, Cindy, thank you so much.
No, I've got any.
OK, so tomorrow... we'll be talking to Ben Habib, former member of the European Parliament. Everyone knows who he is. And we've got Danielle Nichols in.
Yeah.
Is she in the studio or is she coming down?